Welcome to Sic'em365 Radio.
That one picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
Sic'em365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Over the middle, he has Ebner in for a touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. Sic'em365 Radio on this Friday. It's Friday afternoon. Baylor basketball tomorrow against TCU. I keep waiting, like, okay, when's the next women's basketball media session? But they're shut down because of the game Thursday with UConn being canceled. And then also, of course, what happened with the games following. The Kansas State game is also postponed. They're not the only ones in the Big 12 that have struggled with that. But, Scott Drew and company go on the road against TCU, a very, very, obviously a team that's pretty good. We have a special guest here momentarily that will join us here on Sic'em365 Radio, and we'll have that in just a second. Our guest lineup today, Jake Hatch. He covers Brigham Young on Coach Mateos, the offensive line coach at Brigham Young. Baylor has not yet officially announced that. Cole Barber had it last night, in fact, right about the time we went off the air. And Craig and Paul, as we wait on our guest, if you think about it, that's pretty good that they turned that around as quickly as they did after Pugh was not able to stay at Baylor, that they get the guy that Jeff Grimes worked with at Brigham Young.
Yeah, and sometimes those things, Craig, can take a long time. You have somebody who you want to be this or that, and then you don't get them, and then you're stuck because you got to wait 2 weeks because the contract and all that.
Yeah, it's a situation where this could have drug out, but, credit to Colt and the premium section, I pounded home to people who are not members because I think that they would enjoy it. I think you would have enjoyed seeing the name of Mateos, mentioned a couple of days ago. That was set up rather quickly. And I wrote an article. I don't know if it's posted or not yet. I think it is. But just outlining some of the connections with the staff. And there's a lot of cohesion, a lot of cohesiveness, a lot of guys who have known each other. Now, we heard some of that, too, last year with that staff. But, you take those BYU ties into account alone. And with Grimes' experience in the offensive line, now bringing in Mateos with him. They've already worked together. Mateos works the offensive line. I think they've addressed a lot of issues, and I think Dave Aranda's done a bang-up job of getting this done pretty quickly.
All right, well, again, that has not yet been official, but one of the things that Baylor also had to do, and Paul and Craig, you guys had your wish list of what they needed to work on. What was the one place, no matter what, with the personnel back or not, and we're about to have breaking news on Baylor football in just a second, where did they have to address something?
Offensive line. Offensive line.
All right, and Craig, you agree with that, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, and we all do. And so we are now joined by a special guest who joins us right now on Zoom here on Sic'em365 Radio. We got it, Armstrong? Yes. Hey, how you doing? We've seen you before. You and I have talked a couple of times. You want to introduce yourself and give us some news about what you're doing today?
Hi, my name is Grant Miller, former Vanderbilt offensive lineman, and after much thought and consideration, I'm proud to announce that I'll be committing to Baylor.
Grant Miller, graduate transfer from Vanderbilt. Great job. Thank you for for coming on with us, Grant. I know it's been a busy day. Armstrong and Jack running the mothership. Why Baylor? Obviously, they need help on the offensive line. What was the process for you, and how quickly did they get in touch with you after you entered the transfer portal, and who have you been in touch with?
Well, Baylor is a program that I've heard from pretty much since the very beginning when I entered the transfer portal. A lot of the members on the coaching staff followed me, but I believe the first coach to get in contact with me was Coach Juice, Coach Johnson. He DM'd me on Twitter pretty much the first day when I got into the transfer portal. And kind of the process for me was just making sure that this was the right decision for me, that it felt like home, that everything felt like I was rolling on all cylinders and comfortable where the coaches were concerned. where football was concerned from a culture standpoint as well as from the academic side. And that's kind of what took me a while to make my decision and go through that process. But, after about a month or so and talking to Coach Aranda and all the other coaches frequently, I felt like Baylor was the place for me.
Was it a long month, to go through all that stuff and to really investigate not only Baylor, but every other university you were thinking about?
Yeah, it was definitely a long month. It was a lot of time spent on the phone talking to a lot of different coaches from a lot of different places and kind of doing my own research through and through about each program and where they stand right now in terms of not only football, but academically, coaching staff wise. And I think everything with COVID and the timing of things, it's just being a different type of off season and bowl season that made things a little bit more unpredictable than what it usually would be.
Grant, for those who don't know, who are some of the other schools that were talking to you about potentially joining them next season?
I had the opportunity to return back to Vanderbilt. I had heard from FSU a lot. I'd heard from Texas Tech. I started hearing from Auburn here at the end. I heard from Arizona State, BYU before I had committed to Baylor, as well as a few other schools.
How much do you know, or how much have you been able to be in touch with the staff since you made the commitment? What was their reaction to you?
They pretty much let it be known to me from the very beginning that they really wanted me here, that they felt like that I would be a great fit. And I really believed in everything that Coach Aranda had to say to me over the past few weeks of communicating with him as well as the rest of the coaches. And obviously, when I let them know that Baylor would be the place for me and that I would be attending school this spring, they were pumped. They were stoked to have me on board.
Grant, I may be jumping to conclusions here, but you seem like a pretty mellow guy. So is Dave Aranda. Did that kind of attract you to the program, the coaching staff, and that it kind of matches your personality?
Yeah, I think he really kind of matches my personality. He matches my vibe. He reminded me a lot of my high school coach, which I think very highly of, Coach Harriet back at St. Thomas Aquinas. And, like I said, just being able to communicate and talk to him and just really feeling like, he cared. That's the kind of sense that I got from Coach Aranda. I really believe that he's been building or rebuilding something very special here at Baylor, and that all factored in my decision.
What was your knowledge of Baylor before, further looking into them, obviously? Were you somebody who saw them at times growing up? I know a lot of players talk about RG3 and that, team years ago, but did you have much of a knowledge of Baylor? And obviously, I guess, would have played in a bowl game a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I have a lot of knowledge of Baylor. As a kid, obviously, my dad attended Baylor as well as my mom. And everybody from my dad's side of the family who graduated college pretty much went to Baylor. I had another cousin on the football team also who played for Baylor in the early 2000s. And I remember going on the field and watching the games, or every single time I'd go to my grandmother's house for Christmas, watching all the bowl games. I remember watching their bowl game against UCLA a few years ago, and I think they played Syracuse, a while back. But yeah, I remember all the players, and I was a big fan as a kid. Always would play around the yard with my cousins and brother, pretend to be Baylor players, like, not just RG3, but like Bryce Petty, Nick Florence, Chocolate, all those guys. I remember all of them.
Grant Miller is a Baylor legacy. His father, Fred, played at Baylor. He has committed to Baylor here today on SicEm365 Radio. What a lot of people, Grant, may not know about you is all of this almost never happened. You in athletics, you playing football, you having a scholarship to play big-time college football at Vanderbilt and now Baylor. Tell everybody a little bit about the story that you had to go through when you were like 12 years old.
Well, yeah, when I was just about at the tail end of my middle school career, I had been diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, and through some other medical complications, I ended up in the hospital and in a wheelchair and in a bunch of other crazy situations that I never thought I'd see myself in, especially at that young age. And ultimately, for a while, I wasn't able to play sports, and ultimately that led to me not being able to be cleared to even play football my freshman year of high school. So, for a good span of probably 3 to 4 years of my life, I was told that, I would have to, relearn how to walk again and things of that nature, going to a lot of physical therapy and trying a lot of different medications. And it was a pretty much consensus thing that I wasn't going to be able to play sports again. But through a lot of the help of my family and friends and medical staff out at UCLA, which is where I was getting my treatment at the time, I just persevered and didn't take no for an answer. And, a few years later, back in 2017, I found myself at St. Thomas Aquinas playing big-time football at a big-time program and committing to a SEC school, which I think 5 years ago, nobody would have seen me in that position.
You mentioned St. Thomas Aquinas. People in Texas know all about big-time high school football, but as the state of Florida goes, Grant, I don't know if there's a bigger time program than St. Thomas Aquinas. Did you already kind of feel like a college athlete when you were coming out of St. Thomas?
Yeah, somewhat, just because day in and day out, you know that you're going against the best, and you know that you were going against players who will also be committing to big time colleges to play football. I believe in my recruiting class, we had like 20 or 22 players go Division I, and I was there right at the tail end that Nick Bosa was graduating and leaving to Ohio State. So, it's just a place where you get used to football being a big thing. Faith, family, tradition, and excellence is kind of the motto we go by. So, it's not uncommon to see guys like Michael Irvin or people like that on the sidelines watching the games.
How much did you weigh entering your sophomore year in high school?
I was 185 pounds my sophomore year of high school.
And how tall were you?
I was about 5'8".
5'8", 185 pounds. And a lot of that was because of what you had to deal with, and you weren't able to train very much. How big are you now?
I'm about 6'4", 305.
That's a growth spurt.
Yeah,
I know that spurt's not the right word for that, Grant. I don't know what the word would be. That's bigger than spurt.
I think if you ask my mom, the word would be expensive.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, that's a lot of new clothes you have to buy suddenly. Yeah.
Oh my Lord, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Just to think about shoes. Shoes alone.
Yeah.
When you go from whatever you were to what you are now.
Yeah.
It's just so fast.
I'm a size 9. I'm a size 9.5. I'm a size 10.5. I'm a size. Oh my God, this is a great.
Yeah, what was crazy is my foot just kept growing. It was like a size 9 one day, and then it was size 14. It just kept growing all the way up to size 18. I remember sitting down and talking to my mom. I was like, let's just hope it just doesn't keep growing anymore. So we did our size shoes.
Are you excited? Are you happy? I know you're kind of laid back, and you and I have talked a couple of different times just as you went through the process. What is it like right now that you got this out of the way and you'll be on campus at Waco here pretty soon?
It feels good. I'm really excited for the opportunity to come down and play football for Baylor. In a lot of ways, it's something that I've always thought about and always dreamed about, since I was a kid. I'm ready to meet my new teammates, to, meet the coaches in person and everything, which, unfortunately I wasn't able to do because of the situation with COVID and everything. But I'm really excited about the opportunity. I'm really excited about what Baylor is building in their football program. And I'm really excited as well just to further my academic career going after my master's degree as well.
What is the plan now, Grant, for you? What's kind of the timetable and the discussion's been like as far as coming to Waco, getting acclimated, doing all that?
I plan on coming into Waco probably late next week, probably Friday, Saturday. I think the 16th or 17th, I think 16th is Saturday, 17th is Sunday. So somewhere around there. I'm still working out all the details because I'm probably going to drive over there. So it's going to be a haul.
They're still working on their staff, but they have Jeff Grimes, has been hired as the offensive coordinator. Did that help or hurt? Not hurt. Did that help your decision knowing that they were able to replace most of the offensive staff with still one more spot available and get that done and seeing what they did with the offensive staff and Coach Aranda?
Yeah, that was a big part of my decision. This time around in my decision, I was looking at everything from not just the academics, but also the football program and where would be my best opportunity to grow as a player. And I think bringing on a mind and a guy with a resume like Coach Grimes was a big factor for me. And when I got on the phone with him and kind of got a sense for who he was and his philosophy and just getting to pick his brain a little bit about, football X's and O's, it really helped me out in terms of my decision. He's an O-line guy. He's coached O-line at plenty of other places and had a lot of success over at BYU. So it definitely helped factor into swaying my decision lately.
I know that you spoke about what you went through as a 12-year-old and all of that. I don't think anyone understands how maybe difficult that was. Did that make you a better person in a way, even though you were somewhat younger, and also help you even enjoy living every day today?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it helped me realize what's important in life and what's not. It made me realize to value the little things every single day. So when some guys may drag their way out to practice and, not really want to do it. For me, I remember the days where I couldn't go outside and play with my friends, where I couldn't run around. So every single day that I get to come out and practice, whether it's a walkthrough, full pads, whether it's 100 degrees outside or 27 degrees outside, I'm going to enjoy every day getting to play football because it's what I love to do, and being able-bodied and just being able to appreciate what I do have and what I can work on every single day, because I remember the days where it felt like my hands were kind of tied and I wasn't able to chase my dreams the way that I wanted to back then. So I plan on making the most of my opportunities now.
What does this mean to your mother?
It means a lot to my mother. Like I said, she graduated from Baylor, so she's very excited to see me back in the green and gold as a Baylor Bear out in Waco, as well as she's really big on academics, so she was super proud of me for graduating at Vanderbilt in 3.5 years and getting a prestigious degree. And she was rooting me on to come and get a master's degree too. So, I mean, where else better to do it than my parents' alma mater?
Well, and now she doesn't have to buy the clothes because you get a whole bunch when you're a player.
You get swag.
Right.
Yeah. Be giving her some, probably, yeah.
Grant, last thing, and I know you can't mention names, but are you now already starting to try to help maybe get others on campus? Do you have some others that you are in contact with without naming the names of where they're playing to come to Baylor if there's any room available?
It's something me and the coaches have talked about a little bit, maybe talking to some potential players coming in. But right now I'm still trying to figure out all the little details I got to get done to make sure my transition over into Baylor is smooth. I mean, it's a little bit different because of the COVID year and everything. Everything's all on the phone and everything like that. And I just want to make sure that I'm ready to go from the logistical side of things when the 18th comes around.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for being a part of it and mentioning it and announcing it live on the show. I know you had to wait most of the day, and we appreciate you doing that. I know that the reaction has been overwhelming on Twitter feeds, the message boards, and so much.
People are over the moon right now with the announcement. They are very stoked to have you coming to Waco. So just know that the fan base is already fired up with your announcement.
So it's at Grant Miller 55. Is that right, Grant, on Twitter?
Yep.
Okay.
That's
all right.
correct.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you staying in touch with us. Congratulations. We'll see you hopefully very soon.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Excited to get out and see everybody out in Waco.
Yes, sir. That's Grant Miller from Vanderbilt, the grad transfer, has committed to Baylor right here on SicEm365 Radio. And, man, I'm telling you right now, he was waiting. I think he's pretty much known what he was going to do for the last 2 or 3 days. But he had to wait to make sure. And I'll tell you, this is interesting. He kind of knew, I think, even a couple of days ago what he was going to do. But he told me, he said, I want to make sure that I'm accepted inside the grad school first. He didn't just say it, in 2 days, because that's not always a given. Although a guy with a degree from Vanderbilt, that's not going to be a problem. But there's always some things that can be, as we've learned this week, that can be a little bit of a catch. So he wanted to wait. He thought that may not happen until Monday. And then all of a sudden, he said, I'm ready to come on with you guys today at 3 o'clock.
Well, look at that. 2 years of eligibility. Nice graphic there, Armstrong and company. 31 games played. That's a lot more experience than most of Baylor's O-line, I think, at this point. 16 games started. So, experience. Played in the SEC, obviously. So went up against some bad dudes on a regular basis with those SEC D-lines. And, like you said, this is the big, and Grant just tweeted out a commitment tweet, so we might want to go hit that up, at Grant Miller 55. But, his parents both went to Baylor. His mom was fired up, as you can imagine, and that's just awesome that he gets to kind of follow in their footsteps, and that she was so excited about it. Very cool, just all the way around, and a very cool way for him to make his announcement. And over the moon that we got to have him right off the top and make that announcement live with us. It's really neat, and fired up to cover him next year and maybe even longer.
Yeah, again, he just put that up. He actually, and he asked me about, He goes, well, I want to put up the image. He goes, but you want me to wait until after I commit on the air? I was like, well, that's fine. But I think he got caught up in the interview. He was going to do that when we first asked him the first. There's the tweet right there. Armstrong put it up. And again, Grant Miller, 55, has committed. The legacy continues. His father, Fred Miller, of course, was amazing at Baylor, played in the NFL with the Rams, Paul, and golly, I just went blank on another team that he played for. His mother has been amazing through this process as well, and she's pumped up. She went to Baylor, as he's mentioned, and there is Grant Miller, who's committed to Baylor and a part of now the 2021 depth chart. That's one offensive lineman. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when they got the commitment from Estrada on National Signing Day, whenever that was. I guess it was been a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago. And there was going to be maybe, let's say, 4 or 5 transfers. And we all mentioned you need 2 of those to be on the offensive line. And there's one of them right there.
Yeah, and this is something that we've been tracking and talking about and, going over for the last few weeks now, really ever since the season ended. We knew there would be a lot of interest in the transfer market from the coaching staff to try and plug some holes quicker than, going out and grabbing a freshman offensive lineman and having to build them up. That takes a lot of time. They need impact guys up there to make a difference more quickly, and he certainly fits the bill there. And as I was saying, wrote an article just about all the connections, particularly with Jeff Grimes. But you look at his background, and we talked about it, but all the offensive line stops that he's had, he alone is going to be a boost for this offensive line. But then you add in what should be, official really at any time with Mateos also joining the fold as the offensive line coach. At least that's what's expected at this point. You add a guy like a Grant Miller and probably more. And, the pieces are there to not have like a top 5 O-line next season, but certainly a lot better of a unit than we saw last season, where it was just kind of out of sorts for the majority of the 9 games. So, big-time pickup right off the top and a great way to kind of, bring the week to a close for Baylor, although they're going to remain plenty active.
Yep, they will be. All right.
And,
now,
go and get his master's. Can't hate that. That's
absolutely
good stuff right there.
And again, the Jeff Grimes hire, he had been in touch. That happened on Monday. Grant Miller was trying to kind of make up his mind. And, again, you heard some of the schools, Paul.
Yeah, look, if he's not going to go to Florida State, I'm happy he's coming here. I'm thrilled for him. He's doing what's best for him.
Remember when you asked me?
And not what's best for me, that's the selfish thing. Because people on Twitter, you want the athlete to do what's best for you. I want him to come to my school because it makes me happy, when it doesn't matter if I'm happy as long as he's happy.
When you asked me for his phone number earlier in the week because you were trying to change his mind and I deleted you, I blocked you.
That's why Paul was out yesterday. I think he was secretly trying to go recruit.
Mike Norvell, I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed. Mike Norvell has not reached out to me yet for help.
No,
it's been a year.
He tried to hire Jeremiah Dickey there, but he's at Boise State instead.
Speaking of which, Jeremiah Dickey just put up his first tweet.
Yeah.
As the athletic director at Boise State, he said, he's
already making big promises too. He put out the elite program, elite coach, because he's got to go hire a coach. That's his first big task, which is normal when you have a new athletic director. Typically, they're being brought in to hire a new coach. That's why you're making the big changeover. But yeah, he's done the whole elite level point into elite coach. And so we'll see who that is. I know there's a lot of talk about who that could be, but best of luck to Jeremiah. Really wish him all the success in the world.
Armstrong, great job getting that done with the Zoom. And Jack, of course, working the graphics and camera. Colt Barber behind the scenes, as always. And we appreciate everybody. I'll tell you, Brian Etheridge is a part of this as well. Appreciate Brian and his help along the way. Yeah,
it's a real team.
It really is. Special guests, that's what I put up on the boards, and then I teased it. And there were a couple that said, I have a feeling this might be a Grant Miller commitment. Some, then sent pictures of people that a couple of days ago were in the wrong place at the wrong time and shouldn't have been. Just having fun with it. In just a minute, Jake Hatch, I was a part of his podcast, LockedOnCougars.com, Brigham Young writer. His thoughts about Mateos. Again, Baylor has not yet made that official yet. Colt Barber released it last night. Grayson Grudhafer, 345, his thoughts. C.J. Moore and also Rob Douster, 2 college basketball writers nationally. C.J. at 4. Rob will join us from the Field of 68. Jason King does some work for them at 5:30. And then also our high school football pick'em today. Max Olson at 4:20 today. And, yes, some comments from Baylor men's basketball about their game against TCU in Fort Worth.
Does anybody want dibs on the Harbaugh question for Max Olson? Because I guess Michigan just released officially that he's signed that new contract extension. So Harbaugh's back in the fold. And did you see what Ohio State football did last night? Mm-hmm. So I forget what account it was, but they sent out that Harbaugh was probably going to sign a new extension, but that obviously like the buyout's going to drop dramatically, and it's going to be easier for Michigan to get out of this quicker if they need to. But, you know, they're maintaining the consistency of having him there, and who else would you go get right now that's really going to make a bigger splash than Harbaugh? So anyways, Ohio State football, their official account actually liked the tweet. I think it was from Bleacher Report announcing the extension of Jim Harbaugh. So the pettiness of that rivalry knows no bounds. And Ohio State, hey, they got the ace card in their pocket right now. So that, you know, while you can take shots at your arch rival, they're going to go and do that. But there's kind of a funny, very college football interaction between those two programs.
Preston Ebner, another All-American team, Walter Camp. Also, Oklahoma, a couple of running back stories here. One, Stevenson is going to turn pro. And it appears as if T.J. Pledger is leaving.
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson was the reason Oklahoma's offense was as good as it was last year. I mean, Spencer Rattler matured and got better, but Ramondre Stevenson was that dude for them oftentimes last season. I know when he put out a little bit of a tease that some OU fans were hoping that was going to lead to an announcement that he was coming back, but no, he's gone, so that's a big loss for them. And with T.J. Pledger, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the situation is there because maybe it's I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Pledger saw him at times, but, I mean, Stevenson was the dude. So, yeah, they're going to have to figure some things out. They also got to, you know, kind of revamp their quarterback room as well because they lost not only Tanner Mordecai, but then they lost Chandler Morris to TCU. So, yeah, they're going to have to build some depth at quarterback and in that running back room.
Mike Yurcich didn't take him long. He's now the offensive coordinator with Penn State.
He'll be calling plays for John Lovett.
Now, yeah, exactly. Shane Beamer has apparently going to hire Marcus Satterfield from the Carolina Panthers staff. He was at Baylor. He is going to join. What is it? Shane Beamer's at what am I thinking?
He was at Oklahoma, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
He takes over for Will Muschamp and Satterfield. We didn't get to know him all that well at Baylor. He was here like somewhat briefly, but yeah, I'm excited to see what Shane Beamer does with that program because he's definitely one of those up-and-coming guys. Obviously, his background with his father alone, much less all the others he's come in contact with, and this time at OU, he might very well be the guy to turn that ship around. We'll see.
All right, from Jack on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, Jack Wheeler here. My hot take is Michigan will fire Harbaugh after the 2021 season, hire Matt Campbell.
Super hot now that they I mean, that's a hot
I don't understand
take.
why they have to give him an extension.
Well, I think it's a matter of the money's going way down, and so it's a matter of maintaining the consistency of the program, recruiting. Remember recruiting.
Yeah, I know.
If they were to, you only had 1 year left. So.
Right. If you move him out now, then your recruiting efforts fall apart, and next season would then probably fall apart to an extent as well. So I think what they're doing is just giving him a little bit more rope. And they'll see how next season goes. But if they do make a move next season, it'll be far easier to get out of it without paying boatloads of money than had they done it now.
Justin Johnson on his Twitter account, the running back coach, when you add to the trenches, he shows a guy doing a backflip.
Carlton.
Okay. All right, high school football tonight. There are 4 games. All of the 5A games are tonight. The semifinals, Summit with Shannon Hall, the former Shoemaker coach, against Denton Ryan at AT&T Stadium. Veterans Memorial against Cedar Park. That's tonight in San Antonio. Wichita Falls Rider and Aledo tonight in Denton. Crosby, who we had their coach on, Jerry Prieto, against unbeaten Liberty Hill at Bryan's Merrill Green Stadium. All the 6A's will be playing tomorrow. Waco host the game between Katy and Hayes Consolidated. That was the last team I ever played in high school football. They beat the living hell out of us with that veer. That's tomorrow at 2. We got to move on. We'll have NFL playoff news. We'll also hear from the All-Pro team was released today. But coming up next, Jake Hatch covers Brigham Young. His thought about Eric Mateos, the offensive line coach at Brigham Young, and what he's meant to that program and what he could mean to Baylor. Next on SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Told you for months about all the great deals they were having during the holidays, but the great deals continue on right now. And I was just taking a look at my car the other day. I was fortunate to get a new car last year, but it was, not a brand new 2020 or 2021. Had a little bit of wear on it, being a couple years old. And I'm already having to try to... probably going to have to go take a look to get the tires replaced here pretty soon. Well, might have to make my way over to Richard Carr Motors because they have the tire match guarantee. They will meet or beat any competitor's price on tires. Guaranteed they price the competition for you, or you can bring a price to Richard Carr and they will match it with that tire match guarantee. They've got the fleet of 2020 Buicks that are still on the lot. Of course, they've got new models that'll be moving in. So right now, you can take advantage of great deals on the 2020 Enclaves, Encores, the Encore GX, which is less than $25,000, and the 2020 Envisions as well. Of course, they've got the Buick line. Buick, a classic brand, but with plenty of different types of models. You can go SUV with the Acadia, go big van with the Savannah, or go even bigger van with the Savannah 3500, and maybe even a truck is what you're actually looking for. Well, in that case, check out the 2021 Canyon. Yes, the new models, Acadias and Canyons, are already on the lot. Lots of great deals, thousands of savings, and of course, fantastic customer service. Richard Carr, throughout this pandemic, they have stayed in business. They've kept their lots open, but they've also kept the customer in mind as well. That's why they have offered for the last several months to have you come to the dealership, go through the usual sales pitch and walking around the lot and doing all that. But because a lot of people right now aren't very comfortable, well, they have been offering and continue to offer to bring the test drive to you. The year has ended. The new year has begun. Going to be a lot of new vehicles on the lot for you to check out, but still 2020 models and older vehicles, not older as in bad, but just older as in models, available for thousands off right now as they try to move in the new 2021s and 2022s eventually as well. So take advantage right now. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. You can see all the great deals on their site. Also check out the tire match guarantee if you're in the market for tires like I am currently, or go check them out in person. Of course, let them bring the test drive to you. Check out more information. Richard Carr, KARR.com.
Let's face it, some people just like driving around in the new. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters to talk about those truck owners that know they have naked trucks but simply don't care. You'll hear them saying something like, I'm just driving around free and easy, nothing constricting me. Gross. But there is something that can entice almost any naked truck owner. Leather. I mean, they kind of go together, right? And Pickup Outfitters is an authorized dealer and professional installer of cat skin leather seats. So I'm asking you to do your part and help us end truck nudity. The next time you're near your naked truck owner friend, you can say something like, you know what would really be sexy on your truck? Leather. And they'll get that sly smile, and you know you've hit them in their weak spot. Pickup Outfitters installs factory matching leather kits or custom kits in just about any color combination for your truck or even car. It's the sexy thing to do. You can be part of the problem, or you can create a commotion with cat skin leather seats at Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one, commercial, farm and ranch, or residential. Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It's time to be brutally honest with yourself. Look in the mirror or weigh yourself. Do you weigh as much, more, or less than you did before the holidays or a year ago? Why not start the year in better shape than how you ended it and create momentum for 2021 and help strip the negative vibes, tension, pressure, and extra pounds from the crazy of 2020? It's time right now to join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. It's so much more than a gym, including world-class tennis courts, lessons available with pros, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, personal training to get you over the hump. I promise you'll look better and feel better than ever before. Just need to walk through the front door. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp, spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation, a tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So make this your best and healthiest year ever. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Loaded up today, a couple of national college basketball writers will join us. Also, just now, before we get to Jake Hatch, who's been great, he'll be a part of it to talk about Eric Mateos at Brigham Young and now Baylor, or eventually at Baylor. Breaking news with the Cowboys that happened as we went to the commercial break after the interview with Grant Miller from Vanderbilt, who's coming to Baylor.
Defensive coordinator Mike Nolan fired today, which is not shocking at all. The Cowboys just had their worst defense in the 60-year history of the team. So I don't know how you come back from that.
Yeah, I saw, what's his name? Sean from The Fan in Dallas.
Sharif,
Sean Sharif from The Fan in Dallas, who does the show with RJ in the mornings. They had the weekly calls, with Jerry or Steven, but today they had Mike McCarthy. And I know this because last night I saw Sean tweet out the list of questions they were going to ask him. And you talk about like an uncomfortable interview, but I know they're doing their job at the same time. But it was like, man, like you're really going to ask him some of those questions. And I think one of them was not so bad of a question. It was like, are you going to fight for Mike Nolan to keep his job? And I don't know what the answer ended up being because I only saw, the questions last night. But I'm sure he probably danced around it given the news that Mike Nolan's now out. So that is no surprise.
We're joined by Jake Hatch, Locked on Cougars. He also covers the University of Utah, where Charlie Brewer's headed, and also is a part of a radio station in the area that covers Brigham Young, Utah, and much more. Jake and I were a part of his podcast earlier this week. He asked me if he could come on. Well, I asked him if he could come on. He's the one. Jake, how did the wedding go despite me blowing up your phone?
Wedding went great. It was no problem at all. Thanks for having me on, guys.
It was your favorite sister, you said, and your only sister, so that's good. And I know
Correct.
that I wasn't the only one. So what's been the reaction? Baylor has not yet officially announced Mateos is a part of their staff, but it's all but a done deal. What's the reaction from Brigham Young? Because it looked like they had escaped him moving on when Grimes came to be the OC at Baylor.
Yeah, there was a lot of optimism that BYU was going to be relatively unscathed with Coach Grimes moving on to Baylor, but obviously now with Coach Mateos reportedly headed down your guys' way, there's a lot of BYU fans who are upset. I think Eric Mateos left a good impression here in Provo, developed some All-American caliber offensive linemen, multiple NFL caliber linemen, and I think a lot of people are wondering, okay, how does BYU go about replacing him?
So how do they go about replacing him? Do you know yet?
Not yet. I think there's some names out there of different coaches, both here in the state of Utah, and some that have connections to BYU via other former coaches, et cetera. But I think it's still very early in the process to know some of the names that could replace him, I guess is what I should say.
So what can you tell us about Mateos as a coach? I know he's been in Texas previously and has some experience coming back here. But just, obviously BYU had a fantastic offense, fantastic offensive line. Grimes played a role in that as well. But Mateos in particular, what was kind of the thoughts from players on him, the fan base, and just what he was able to do and kind of the person he is?
So he's actually a phenomenal evaluator of talent. I think that's the first thing that I think Baylor fans will see from what he does. Just for an example, Brady Christensen was BYU's left tackle this past season, was just named a consensus All-American today. This is a young man that BYU coaches identified him and made him the starting left tackle, and he started, I think, 39 straight games. This was a kid, if you go back and look at his story, was offered a scholarship by BYU on the final weekend before the signing day classic signed it. He was a 2-star prospect, wasn't very highly rated, but the development process at BYU, led by Eric Mateos, turned him into an All-American. And there are other guys along that offensive line who've got similar track records with Mateos as their coach. So this is a guy who understands how to both identify talent, but also develop it and get the most out of it on the field.
Jake, would you say they did that pretty expediently, given how bad BYU was just a couple of years ago on offense?
No doubt. There's no doubt about that. I think the quarterback position with Zach Wilson leading the way really helped the rise of BYU's offense. But this offensive line, you can go back 3-4 years, and it was a pretty porous unit. There wasn't seemingly a lot of talent in that group, but the recruiting over the past few years has been pretty phenomenal. And like I said, the development of those guys along that unit has been very good.
What can you tell us? And we had numerous people that have known or coached with or even played for Jeff Grimes as he continued up the coaching ladder to where he is now at Baylor, and of course did a great job at Brigham Young. What about his impact at BYU and what Baylor is getting from your perspective?
I think that a lot of people are going to look back on what Jeff Grimes did at BYU and be very pleased with how he went about conducting his business. If you guys recall, he's been a career offensive line coach. There were a lot of question marks when he came to BYU to be the offensive coordinator, if he could make that jump and become an offensive coordinator after being an O-line coach for as long as he had. In 3 years, he's really proven that. When you become a Broyles Award finalist, it means you're pretty well respected by your peers and the media at large. So the hole that he is leaving in Provo is pretty sizable. The hope is that his right-hand man, Aaron Roderick, the passing game coordinator, will be able to step in and really carry on in his absence. But there's no doubt it's a loss for the Cougars.
Jake Hatch is locked on Cougars with us on SicEm365 Radio on Jeff Grimes and what he's done, and also Eric Mateos. So when Grimes took the job at Baylor, Mateos was obviously somebody, and you've mentioned this, that you would think would come with him. And then they had what they did with Ryan Pugh. That didn't last but maybe 24 hours. So when you heard that, did you immediately go, okay, this is now when we're going to lose Mateos?
That was one of my first thoughts, yes. This is a guy that, speaking of Coach Grimes, when he came to BYU, he brought Ryan Pugh in. Ryan Pugh then moved on to be the offensive coordinator and the O-line coach at Troy. And as soon as he moved on, well, who did Grimes look to? He looked to Eric Mateos. So Jeff Grimes has a list of guys I think that he trusts. And as soon as Ryan Pugh, that situation kind of resolved itself, I don't think it took very long for him to say, okay, now let's move on. Let's go get Eric Mateos and bring him with me.
What was the impact that he had on Wilson at quarterback, or was it? I know that they also had other people that handled the quarterback and passing game, but what about his impact and maybe calming Wilson down and maturing as a quarterback?
Well, I think he did a good job at kind of figuring out what highlighted Zach Wilson's strengths, and that is easier said than done, I think, for a lot of coaches, because there are a lot of guys who have their quote-unquote system, and they try and fit guys into their system rather than making sure their system can fit the guys that they have on their roster. I think Jeff Grimes has proven he is adaptable to the talent he has. He started out his tenure at BYU with a very different-looking offense than what he finished with Zach Wilson, because he had a different quarterback at the helm at that point. But they made the switch midway through that season to Zach Wilson and really made sure that they fit that system to make sure that Zach Wilson's strengths were highlighted, and none bigger than this past season when he had an absolutely stellar junior campaign.
Jake, one more question about Grimes. There was how much involved was he as the play caller in the offense as far as the running game and passing game?
So there's a lot of debate out there about how many play calls he was making in game. And one thing I can tell you about Jeff Grimes is he is a collaborative person. He allows his coaches that work with him on the offensive side of the ball to have a lot of responsibility within the game plan, but the final authority on play calls lies with him. And so he'll always have the input of his wide receivers coach, the running backs coach, quarterbacks coach, etc. He's going to allow them to have their input and work with him on the game plan. But when it comes in game and that big decision needs to be made, the authority lies with him, and he will make the final call.
Jake, thank you very much. Appreciate you and your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.
You too. That's Jake Hatch, Locked on Cougars. He also covers the University of Utah.
I keep forgetting this, but we may see him next year because BYU's coming to Waco.
He's gone, right? We got him. Yeah. And so, you're right.
He's still there.
Jake, are you still there?
Still here. Yeah,
So what was the and we might hopefully do see you next year, or I guess in the fall. What about Charlie Brewer's decision to come to Utah? What was that like, the reaction, knowing that their quarterback room is kind of being splintered in different ways because of injuries, transfers, et cetera?
Yeah. Well, and that's the biggest thing is the guy that they thought was going to be the quarterback is going to be out until at least fall camp with shoulder surgery. So Cam Rising, a former Texas transfer, that is the young man's name. But they were looking for somebody to really, I think, come in and settle the position, considering he's not going to be available for a significant period of time with that shoulder surgery. They've seen what Charlie Brewer's done under both Matt Rule and now Dave Aranda. And I think they think, okay, this is a young man who can come in and really thrive in our system. Kyle Whittingham doesn't mess around. I can tell you that with recruiting. He's a guy that when he sees talent, he evaluates it, and if he can acquire it, he'll go get it. And I think they really do value what Charlie Brewer brings to Salt Lake City.
How tough of a week has it been in Utah, especially with the loss of Ty Jordan?
It's been tough. There's no doubt about that. It was a really touching moment to see his teammates gathered around him in the end zone there at AT&T Stadium for one last celebration. But it's one of those things you never want to cover as a media member, the death of a young man, especially the caliber of Ty Jordan. It looked like he was the next great Utah running back. I know they had a 5-game season, but he was looking every bit the next great running back, and to have him lose his life so just tragically, it's been a tough one.
Jake, thank you very much. Great stuff. Jake Hatch, Locked on Cougars, also covers Utah as well up in the state of Utah on Charlie Brewer, his transfer, and also in Eric Mateos, soon-to-be Baylor offensive line coach and offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes.
Yeah, they've had a lot to cover, I mean, between BYU and Utah. I mean, all the changes and BYU, the season that they had, that loss to Coastal Carolina being the only blemish. But, no, a lot of good stuff there from him. And, yeah, I keep reminding myself that, you know, we didn't get the big Ole Miss game this past season, but that BYU trip to Waco is on the docket. And, you know, obviously it'll be a different Cougars team, but that'll still be a good game.
Can you imagine what that would have been like this year, though?
Oh
my goodness. It would have been ugly, you would think. Now, coming up next, Grayson Grundhafer's already been able to kind of say, hey, this is what Grant Miller means to the offense. We'll also hear from Grayson on not only Jeff Grimes, but what Eric Mateos might mean. What are the recruits saying, those who have signed? This is SicEm365 Radio. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends. That's their slogan on Loop 340 and east of 84 in Waco. And they have a lot of the New Year type specials that are there. One, the Ram truck, back to back to back. Motor Trend Truck of the Year. That's not once, and that's not just twice, but now it is more than just a trend. It is 3 in a row, back to back to back. And pretty soon, I guess we could almost say 4 people with Pat Roddy would then sue us for copyright infringements. But that's also, you would think, going to happen with Ram trucks. If you like Jeep or SUVs, they have them on the lot at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Here's the bottom line. They are still, even though the year has now flipped to 2021, there are numerous discounts and values you have. You get money back, or you have cash value, bonus cash. That's what you want, plus still percentages of what you could pay over 0% over certain months. It just depends on the vehicle and also, of course, what you want to do. Bottom line is right now, no matter what, the first of the year, there are great opportunities. Their lot is filled. Ram trucks, Jeeps, various SUVs, and, of course, minivans as well. It's Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by. Let's be friends.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
And
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Well, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour coming up. But right now, we're joined by Grayson Grundhafer, SicEm365.com, who joins us. And we had Grayson to talk a little bit about Jeff Grimes. A lot has happened, Grayson, since that time. They appeared that Eric Mateos, the new offensive line coach. But let's start with Grant Miller, a legacy committing a grad transfer, an offensive lineman. They need that. They need more of that. Your thoughts about the impact he'll have?
Yeah, it's huge, guys. I mean, you talk about the center position a year ago. It was really, really not great. I mean, how many bad snaps did we see throughout the year? I know Jason Moore and Xavier Newman did, all they could, and they were there, but it really was not a very consistent position last season. So I think Grant Miller is going to come in and immediately give a boost to that position on the Baylor offensive line. Obviously, he is a guy who, in my opinion, does have NFL talent. So there's an opportunity for him to come to Baylor and potentially increase his draft stock as well, which is always great to see. I know he has 2 years of eligibility, so we'll see how that plays out. But very, very good player, has lots of starting experience in the SEC, has played against some future NFL players in the SEC. So he's going to be a guy who's going to come in very much ready to contribute early and very much ready to make a major impact on the Baylor offensive line.
How key is it that he does do that given their struggles and the fact that when you get a grad transfer offensive lineman, they better come in and saddle up?
Yeah, and he's one of those exceptions to the rule as far as a lot of times when Baylor's brought in a transfer, a grad transfer, it's a lot of times, oh, he was a backup, or, oh, he played in a couple games, don't know how good he's going to be. Whereas with Grant Miller, he's coming in with tons of experience. I mean, he's going to be ready to go from day one. And I know there's going to be huge expectations for him, whether it's his playing style or his leadership or just, just his talent. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be asked of him, but I think he's going to be ready for it. And anytime you can add a 305-pounder and a guy who's played at the highest level in the SEC, you got to go take a chance to do that. And Baylor's been looking for guys like that, and they found one with Grant.
So, Grayson, there's been a lot of different coaching changes, and obviously we're waiting for just the official, word from Baylor on Mateos and the O-line, and that would, bring pretty much all of the up front, the major 10 assistants to completion. But behind the scenes, and you're, big recruiting guy, we talked a couple of days ago about the return of James Blanchard from the Carolina Panthers. Obviously was with Baylor before joining with Rule and Company last season in Carolina. Known for his evaluation and known for, putting a lot of prospects on the radar that maybe a lot of people weren't aware of. How big do you think this is for the recruiting side of things to have Blanchard back in the fold?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, guys. And I know a lot of people are looking for massive early returns. They want to see 2021 prospects landed left and right. But you have to remember, James has been gone for a while. So the 2021 class may not be the area where you're going to see the biggest uptick from adding a guy like James Blanchard. But where you will see it is in the 2022 class, because obviously he's a great evaluator. He's a guy who kind of, since he's been hired back, he's just getting started, getting those things rolling, I'm sure, and just trying to go find those hidden gems that he's really been known for, that see a stud, offer a stud mantra that he's kind of, lived by when he's been doing recruiting things. And he's going to be a very big addition. I think he's going to be able to find some kids and also be able to recruit kids. He's always been very good at that. A lot of kids have built great relationships with him, and I think that's going to continue at Baylor. And I mean, there's a reason why Dave Aranda and company went out and tried to get him back from Carolina. It's because he was very valuable to the previous staff.
Grayson, you've been in touch even when they had the offensive coordinator change. There was initially a little bit of, hey, what's going on? And then Jeff Grimes, everyone gets to know him. The Kyron Drones, among others, all have now are all on board after they had signed, of course. What's been the reaction? What was the reaction with the changes from the offensive with Ryan Pugh then now to Eric Mateos of those who are joining Baylor as well? Was there any kind of like, hey, what's going on with that?
No, I think that was actually kind of a good thing, that things kind of happened pretty quickly with Ryan Pugh, kind of letting him go and then getting Eric Mateos. I don't think that there was really much contact to be made, honestly, on Ryan Pugh's side. So I would just say I don't think that had a huge bearing on anything, but I can tell you that a lot of the recruits are very happy with the direction that Baylor went with Jeff Grimes. And I'm sure they're going to be very happy with Eric Mateos as well. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how things kind of play out. But I can tell you, the recruits are very happy with where things are at right now. And, a lot of times people talk about how, Coach Wickline and Larry Fedora are gone, so they must have, not recruited well or this and that. But I can tell you right now, the recruits really liked both of those guys and got to know those guys really well. And now they're having to get to know a new staff, but it's always a good thing when it's a staff that has skins on the wall and are guys that you feel very comfortable trusting. And that's what Baylor was able to go out and hire.
So of all the new hires, there's obviously a lot of connections. There's also, a new face who I don't quite know what the connections are yet with a guy like Chancey Stuckey who will be taking over wide receivers. But, a lot of new names to learn, Grayson. Is there one area in particular where you're, I guess, focused in on or maybe a little bit more excited than others as far as the impact that could be had?
Yeah, I think that the impact hire, where the level of excitement on my end is really with Jeff Grimes. I think that offensive coordinator spot is going to be key. Baylor really has to develop their roster moving forward, particularly on the offensive side and along the offensive line. And Grimes has done an amazing job throughout his career recruiting offensive linemen. He's really been a superstar in that regard. He's recruited 21 4 or 5-star players on the offensive line since 2008. So he's really had a great impact in that regard. So I think he'll be able to do that at Baylor. I think he'll be able to develop guys and make them NFL prospects, which would be huge. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does. I will give you another name just because just level of excitement and also just kind of really anxious to see what he does. And that's Sean Bell as the quarterback coach, because he's got a huge job on his hands. I mean, Charlie Brewer was the starter for 4 straight seasons, pretty much. I mean, 3.5, I guess, his freshman year. But he's really been a staple for Baylor football. And now it's going to be Sean Bell's job to try to figure out which quarterback fits best and who's going to be able to move the ball best in Jeff Grimes' system. And I know Jeff will have a say in that as well. But I think it's going to be really cool to see how Sean Bell develops those guys, and we know there's a lot of talent in the room, so curious to see how it plays out. You know, again, until Aranda speaks, and he hasn't yet, other than a statement with the Pew or a couple of comments here and there, I guess soon it would be nice to hear from him, and we will, along with those who are added to the staff. I think they'd like to have had that by maybe even today, but the change in the offensive line coach may have set that back. So they get Grant Miller. We know about Estrada. They're working on these transfers. Your thoughts about anyone else that's in the pipeline, and how much can Grant Miller help recruit maybe another offensive lineman to the campus at Baylor for this year? Yeah, I know for sure Baylor is looking at offensive linemen, but the tricky thing about the transfer portal is that you don't want to settle too early. You don't want to settle on a guy and then, another big one pops up and you want to try to recruit them instead. So I know Baylor's also being patient in that regard with these offensive linemen in the portal. And I think you're going to continue to see that. You're going to continue to see guys enter the portal, especially as spring rolls around. And Baylor's going to continue to look and search for the offensive line. Now, as far as what Grant Miller can bring to the table, I'm sure people are going to see that and see that Baylor's made a move to improve the offensive line. And any addition you make is going to be huge in that regard. And then also, maybe he's able to maybe sell guys on what he saw in Baylor and what he was able to learn about the Bears and kind of Dave Aranda. And I know Juice Johnson played a big role in his recruitment as well. So Juice is going to be a big name to watch too. But Grant Miller, I think, could go recruit some guys. And if Baylor can add probably two more offensive linemen from the transfer portal, that would probably be ideal. All right. Thank you, Grayson. Teamwork. Armstrong and Jack in the studio from behind the scenes. Colt with what he was working on, you, and also the impact of Grant Miller, plus the impact of Mateos, plus the impact of Grimes, and on and on. And Sean Bell, thanks for your time. Grayson Grundhafer with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coming up next, the first of 2 national basketball writers tonight. This afternoon, Rob Douster will join us from the field of 68.com at 5:30. C.J. Moore, he's made a trip or two to Waco and done some stories on Baylor men's basketball. From theathletic.com, on the day Grant Miller of Vanderbilt commits to come to play at Baylor, this is SicEm365 Radio. Dr. Kent Petty can help you feel better. 1 out of every 3 men will experience some sort of symptoms from low testosterone. What could that be? It could be just your energy. It could be sleeping. You don't sleep well. It could be sex drive. It could be endurance. It could be all of the above. 1 out of every 3 men, as you get older, most of the time, sometime in your mid-30s and older, you start to lose your testosterone, your level. So what can you do? Maybe you feel that way in some particular way. Maybe cross-check all of them. PettyClinicLowT.com. Go to PettyClinicLowT.com. There's a couple of ways to reach Dr. Petty and his staff. You could call him. There's a spot where you can just dial it up, or you can reach him also through the website. Bottom line is, tell him Smokey sent you, and you can get discounted lab work, your blood work, and he'll look at the levels, your testosterone levels, and if they have dropped below what he thought or what he says should be your number, he can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you will continue or get back to being the high-performance man that you want to be. Whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's sleeping, or whether it's your energy throughout the day. All of the above. Dr. Kent Petty and his staff can help you out at PettyClinicLowT.com.
With your Ram truck from Allen Samuels, you may not have to plow through snow and mud or pull heavy loads, but you could. During the Big Finish year-end event, you get a Ram deal like no other. Employee pricing for all, 0% for 84 and no payments for 90 days. Ram 1500 Lone Star for Christmas. No other truck comes close. And ask about Big Finish pricing on Ram Heavy Duty and Ram ProMaster for your business. Happy holidays from Allen Samuels.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's a new year. Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
They just always tell me to stay confident and that I belong here, and they just have done a great job of just lifting me up every second, every practice, every game, and it's just been paying off, and it's keeping me positive, but also keeping me humble.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Man, what a busy first hour, and we've got a lot to get to. Max Olson from theathletic.com on college football, the national championship game. He'll join us at 4:20. But right now, joined by C.J. Moore, national writer from The Athletic, and he covers college basketball and, of course, has covered Baylor quite a bit as well. C.J., thanks for your time. Appreciate you very much. I saw that you retweeted the video, and I forgot the young man's name, showing Baylor's middle or interior rotation or what they do defensively. How impressive is that video when you look at it over and over again?
It's really good, and I think it it shows what Baylor has become these last 2 years, and it's just such a connected group that it's not just the amazing athletic ability and defensive abilities of guys like Davion Mitchell and Mark Vital and the way they can make up ground so quickly, but it's moving as one and helping out each other and just making the right reads. And I'd encourage people to go take a look at it. Jordan Sperber is the guy who tweeted out. He's a great follow on Twitter. Does awesome work. But Baylor's no middle defense is no joke.
CJ, this Baylor team is really deep. They come at you in waves. They obviously didn't get to play the Gonzaga game, and they're into the Big 12 right now. Is there anything about them that concerns you from what you've seen at all that would maybe derail them?
I can't say so. I mean, I think they're a really good basketball team on both ends, and I don't know that they've really shown themselves to have a weakness yet. Now, the schedule has been okay. You get a win over Illinois. That was great. Looked awesome there. They basically, done really well in every. If you worry about anything, I guess it's boredom, because they haven't been really challenged. They should beat Iowa State by more than 11, but they beat them by 11, so whatever. So, the schedule's going to get tough eventually because the Big 12's got some really good teams. But that's what I'm looking forward to seeing them play: Texas Tech, Kansas, West Virginia, Texas, and but no, I can't say there's a weakness.
What do you think about the ability of Matthew Meyer and just what a matchup problem he is and what an extra dimension he brings to this Baylor team as he continues to evolve as a player? We already know, Teague and Butler and those guys and what they're able to do, but what kind of an extra dimension, if he's playing at a high level and continues to progress, could, have an impact on this team?
Well, he's always been a guy that loves to shoot it and get buckets.
Yes.
And I think he's, that his offensive game has matured and he's got, a lot of ability. Like a couple of years ago, I looked at him as, maybe that was like the best NBA prospect on the team just because at 6'9", with the ability to shoot it the way he could, you figured, his game was going to come along like it's starting to come along. But, the thing that's really impressed me with him this year is we talked about the defense to start. Like, it's contagious. And, I don't think Matthew Meyer was a guy that guarded a couple of years ago, but he actually gets after it on defense now. And it's, it's a collective thing. If you're going to play for Baylor, you better get after it on D. And I think that's where I've been most impressed, seeing him, kind of add a layer of toughness to his game and really get out there and guard more so than he did in the past. Sometimes you look at the numbers of quality players they have and they keep adding. Now they've got Flagler, and of course they've got Cryer, and they've got the new one, and of course Tchamwa Tchatchoua. And are you amazed how much they mesh and are cohesive and seem to truly do want the other guys to have success across the board? Well, it's impressive when you got that many mouths to feed, but I think it's just the continuation of last season. And if you're a new, Adam, who got to see it last year, he can't come in and say, well, this is my team. Well, no, it's not your team. It's Jared and Davion, those guys and Mark and Maceo, they showed themselves last year. So I don't think it's hard to be a new piece to come in and want to play the team game because it starts with your leaders, and that's the way that those other guys play. So they've done a great job of building their culture and for the best players to kind of set the tone.
CJ Moore, theathletic.com on SicEm365 Radio.
Obviously, Texas is a hot team right now, CJ, playing really well under Shaka Smart and top 5 ranking. Is this something you think they can sustain?
Yeah, I do. I think that Texas has got really, really good, talented players. And, Texas has always had talent, had good talent, but they've struggled to shoot the ball in the past. I thought their effort sometimes has come and gone. We talk about how connected Baylor is. When I watched them the past years, I didn't feel like they were the most connected group. And, you would have a one and done center almost every year. And it was just kind of a collection of talent, but not a collection of talent playing together. And this year, Matt Coleman and Courtney Ramey, I think that those guys have really matured and grown their games and improved.
And then their front line is really, really, really good. I mean, the kid they bring off the bench, Kai Jones, I think he might be the most talented big guy in the league, and he comes off their bench. So that tells you, how good their talent is. But, I think they're maybe just a slight notch below Baylor, but I think Baylor and Texas are clearly the best two teams in this league.
Do you think Kansas will – I mean, obviously the win against TCU was a good one, and they needed it following that Texas game. Do you think Kansas will get it going?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like they've played pretty darn well the last couple of weeks if you take away that Texas game. And they're a team that, like Baylor's got room for error just because they got so many dudes. And, Baylor needs to shoot it well because they rely on the three ball, but like their defense is so good and they can win in other ways. Like, and KU's defense is going to be good because, Bill Self defenses are always good, but they're not nearly as good as a year ago because there was such a drop off from Udoka Azubuike to now David McCormick. And they've got to shoot the ball well, and those perimeter guys got to play well for them to do well. And in that Texas game, you had Texas shooting it a little bit better than normal, and you had Kansas shooting it just really, really poor. And it shows you kind of how average KU can get pretty quickly, but it's still a really good team that will probably finish third in the Big 12, and it'll be like, oh, KU's down. But, like, if third in the Big 12 is still, probably a top 10 team.
But they've done this before, haven't they? Where they've dropped a game early, then last year they reeled off like 14 or 15 in a row.
I think it's wishful thinking on basketball fans' part. Kansas losing, like, is this the year they're not that good?
Yeah.
And, it always turns out the same way.
It's kind of like Oklahoma in football in the Big 12.
Right.
They dropped a couple of games this year, and this is the year. And, hey, hell, at the end, there they are winning and beating Iowa State as well. How is it for you, CJ, the way you cover college basketball with what we deal with access or being able to travel or not? How has it been for you with your job?
I'll be honest, it's been a little strange, but, mainly for me, like I'm still talking to people and doing those kinds of things, but I'm not traveling at all. Like I'm not leaving my house. I kind of made a personal decision that, if there's going to be fans at these arenas, then I'm not going to go just because I don't feel like it's worth the risk. And I've got a mom and a mother-in-law who help watch my kindergartner. So, he can do school every day and I can try to get some work done. So I'm really careful and so I haven't gotten in, and it's weird not being out and going to gyms and going to practices and doing that kind of stuff. So I miss that, but like at the same time, I think I'm just happy there's games happening and the phone still works. So, it's been nice to be able to still do the job and still do some stories that I think people enjoy.
One of your stories you did recently was about Flo Thamba, and I know we shared that story on our Twitter feed as well. You want to go over that story with Flo for those who did not see it? And by the way, I'm going to retweet it again on my Twitter line right now. Yeah,
I didn't encourage people to go read it. It's hard to summarize over radio.
Yeah.
But, he had a really, tough thing happen in his life, losing his brother when he was, I think Fo was 14 at the time. And that's kind of shaped who he is and the way his dad reacted to it. And the strength his dad showed is kind of, helped him deal with certain things in his life, including, a really tough year last year where he didn't get to play a ton. And it's been cool to see him be able to start this year. And originally, honestly, the story was going to be about Flo and Jonathan. And I'll have one out on Jonathan here pretty soon. I think I'm going to release it the day of the Kansas game. But, when I started to report it, I was like, well, these guys are connected and they love each other and that's been cool to see. But once I heard the Flo portion of it and got to know about his brother, like he deserved a story on his own. But the Jonathan one's going to be really fun to read as well. I promise you that. I've got some really cool little anecdotes about him.
It has to be, because all he is fun. Just first of all, he's become a heck of a player. But he's what a story. I mean, he plays happy, and he enjoys what he's doing, and he's been a great addition to them, especially losing Freddie Gillespie, of course, to eligibility. That was a huge pick. I don't know if anyone expected him to have this kind of an impact as quickly as he has.
I thought he'd be pretty good because I got to go to a couple practices last year, and I saw his bounce and I saw how good those two dudes were on the scout team, and I figured they were going to be pretty good. I thought he'd be the starter, which really he's kind of playing starter. You know, he's playing more minutes than Flo, but he just comes off the bench. But he embraces that, and love the way that guy runs into a ball screen. Like the way he can turn his hips so quickly, and he's become a great screener. And if you go back and watch the UNLV tape from a couple of years ago, like the progress he's made is just pretty incredible because he wasn't even close to that kind of player then.
Thank you, CJ. Appreciate you as always. Appreciate your time and stay safe.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
CJ Moore. I'm about to tweet that story out about Flo Thumb. It's very, very interesting. I love the human interest guys. You know that. And he's got one, and so does Sean Wachachua as well. Everybody does. And we had one with Grant Miller. You know, one thing about Grant Miller, I'll get back to that. Go ahead. You were going to say something else.
No, I mean, those two guys he just mentioned in particular, you know, the piece he already has out, definitely a must read because, you learn a lot more about these guys as people. And, you know, sometimes we get so conditioned to just seeing guys in uniforms for our favorite teams or whatever. And, there's human beings in there, you know, and so it is always good to get a look, but especially stories like like the backgrounds, what they've been through in life. I mean, definitely go check out CJ Moore's work. He's one of the best, if not the best, college basketball writers out there for sure, and doing some great stuff right now on Baylor basketball, so definitely check it out.
Trey Morris, thank you for listening, watching us at Trey Morris on Twitter. Advertising works. Just heard an ad for Balcones Whiskey on SicEm365 Radio. Paul does that. I decided I needed a drink, and he showed a picture of the Texas, what is that, Paul?
That's the pot still bourbon.
Pot still bourbon.
Good stuff.
And also from Riverbend Liquor and Wine, I shared that with Steve Chapman as well. So we appreciate you, Trey. And you know, Trey does that for a living. He's in marketing. He knows. He and I one time got into it about something, and then I come to find out I'm sitting there. He's in marketing. Like he has advertising and handles a lot of that. He's been in touch with me throughout most of the year. Great to have you, Trey, listening and watching SicEm365 Radio. One other note about Grant Miller. Remember the story about what happened to him when he had that, the syndrome, the arthritis, the juvenile arthritis. He was actually struggling so badly that he was taking shots, not chemotherapy. It would be for everything but chemotherapy. It was so bad, and he was actually on the list for a while to be a Make-A-Wish child. That's how bad it was.
Well, he made one and it worked. I mean, seriously, that is a comeback from not being able to walk and being on the list for that to being 6'4" and 305 pounds and lean, mean football defensive lineman knocking out machine. So that is a story upon stories.
Yeah, and for those that missed it, I mean, we started the show right off the top. Great job by Brian and Colt and just everybody involved, Armstrong, Jack, Smokey, everybody on getting Grant Miller right off the top of the show for those who may just be tuning in and announcing his commitment live on air with us to Baylor. So that's awesome.
The last player that did that with us, Smokey, was Andrew Billings, and that turned out pretty good.
I think it might have been. Yeah, I really do. You're right. But when we come back.
Yeah, Baylor legacy, and at the offensive line position, they could use all the help they can get, and somebody with his experience in the SEC, it'll be a great addition. So fired up about that.
We had, again, Jake Lahatch on Brigham Young and Eric Mateos and also Jeff Grimes. Max Olson, normally on Thursdays, he wasn't able to be with us yesterday because they're expecting. The Olson family's expecting very soon. So we said, hey, is it okay if a part of Friday? I said, you loser. No, he had an appointment, he and his wife, and he's next on SicEm365 Radio on college football, the Baylor coaching changes, and much more. Ideal MRI, title sponsor of SicEm365 Radio. I've told you the story. We made the announcement, and it wasn't maybe by the end of the day that we made the announcement of hosting and doing this show when Dr. Rob Maxey contacted me and said, hey, I want to talk with you about the show. Our title sponsor, location in the Central Texas marketplace, and their MRI machine is no different and as good and state-of-the-art technology of anything you could ever have. And the bottom line with an MRI, it means something's really bad. Something's either torn or shredded or not good. Whether it's a rotator cuff or maybe something in your knee or possibly your ankle or maybe your back, or what a doctor needs to see even closer and better, a picture of why you can't sleep, why you can't function, and why something is more than just maybe a bruise. In fact, it is more than a bruise.
IdealMRI.com can help you out. And again, in this day and age, you can go online and check in. You can go online, get the appointment, tell them what you need. And if your doctor, you're with a doctor and you say, hey, we need to get an MRI of whatever this is, tell them, you ask them, explain to them what you've heard about IdealMRI.com. Every MRI is $497 or less, and sometimes, in fact, normally the average cost is $1,100 a pop. But theirs is $497 or less every single time, and they can help you as well with help financing and with your insurance. So if something hurts badly, your doctor wants a better look, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI in the Central Texas Marketplace at IdealMRI.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletics Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletics Center and be a part of the change, your change.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour. Max Olson, theathletic.com. We just had CJ Moore. Much about college basketball, Baylor, Texas, KU, Big 12, etc. Max Olson. Max, can I tell everybody why you were late with your segment with us? I mean, it's inexcusable, but what's going on?
Yeah, you can. So I missed the show yesterday because we had an appointment. I apologize for missing my usual time slot, but we got big plans for this off season. We're having a baby in a month, so it is one of those things you can't move those appointments around. Pretty important.
That's awesome, man. We're excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Don't ever do it again. Now, okay, so Max, it's obviously been an up and down week in a way with Baylor's additions to their coaching staff, with Ryan Pugh hired and then he's no longer there. Baylor has not yet made the official announcement about Eric Mateos. That's all but a signed, sealed, and delivered deal. Your thoughts in the end, if Mateos in fact is finality, what Dave Aranda's done with the offensive staff in about a week and a half?
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive. When I watched Baylor this season, I think you saw kind of the offensive inconsistency and wondered if it was just a little bit of just not the right fit. As much as I was excited about the concept of, Larry Fedora kind of running that thing and, with some of those elements you saw from LSU in 2019, I liked the concept, but I think just the execution just wasn't totally right. And so, it's been a lot of fun. I don't know how much your listeners have watched BYU this year. I'm sure a lot of them have turned on the tape on YouTube in the past couple of days here. But boy, that was one of the most fun teams to watch in all of college football this year. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have gone over all the stats and everything, but just what they did and the style of play from them, the way that it is spread, but it's very multiple and versatile and a ton of motion and just really hard to prepare for. I think in this conference, you've got to be a little bit different. You've got to be really challenging for these defenses. And so I think Baylor will be. Obviously, it'll be a process with sort of a brand new offensive staff here of getting that all installed and taught and all that. But I like the move that Dave Aranda made, and I think he got the right guy.
Max, Michigan has extended Jim Harbaugh and I guess a 4 or 5 year extension. I know that his buyout money goes down and all that, but was this the right move for the Wolverines?
Yeah, I think this kind of seems like the right compromise for the situation that they're in, where it doesn't seem like there was an NFL job out there that he was going to jump to. And I don't think Michigan wants to fire Jim Harbaugh. So, you're kind of in this, no man's land here a little bit, where the results obviously weren't great. And you feel like, especially with Ohio State playing in the national title game on Monday, you feel like you're getting further away from them and not closer. And so, striking a new deal where he takes a big cut and it's easier for them both to move on after this. I think that kind of does make, as weird as that kind of sounds, I think that is kind of the mature way of addressing this. And so, I'm really interested to see how this pays off. Obviously, he's going to, he let Don Brown go, so he's got some important staff changes that he has to make here. But it's weird. I don't really know what to make of Michigan's long-term direction right now. They looked good in certain moments in this season and then really fell apart. So I think they kind of had to stand pat here and try and see if running it back can, get them, some progress and get a little bit closer to Ohio State in 21.
So, Max, I've been reading a couple of different articles over the last, day or so about Tennessee, and they're in a bit of a pickle right now. They've got an investigation that's being opened into, faulty recruiting practices. There's been a hiring freeze, and they've got a number of assistant openings. What's going on with Jeremy Pruitt and company, and how much of a mess is this?
Yeah, it looks like they are setting this in motion to move on from Jeremy Pruitt. It seems like it's going to be hard for him to keep his job. And it seems like they are investigating themselves, basically in order to try and maybe strike a cheaper deal to get rid of him or try and fire him for cause or whatever. I mean, I guess we kind of saw this with the David Beatty thing at Kansas, where they were willing to investigate themselves just to try and, trick him out of $3 million. This is a little bit different here. But they're not hiring assistants right now, although they just took a quarterback transfer yesterday. It seems like they're going to make a coaching change, but this is just going to be dragged out as long as possible for some reason. I really don't know what to make of it. I don't know if Phil Fulmer even is safe in all this stuff. Will he be the guy that gets to make that next hire, or are they going to make a change there too? It seems very dramatic, very toxic, and I imagine if you're Jeremy Pruitt, kind of like the Tom Herman thing, where you're like, yeah, maybe coming back just doesn't really make any sense if this is the situation I'm walking into here.
Alabama, Ohio State, there were concerns earlier in the week that perhaps that game may not go on as planned. And, of course, we know and we've learned the last 9 months or so that you never know. But your thoughts, Ohio State was just so explosive against Clemson. Can they carry that over against Alabama?
I think so. Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to be able to do some things to Alabama's defense. I think the big question is just going to be, can Ohio State get stopped? And they were able to do that. They were able to get some pressure on Trevor Lawrence and sort of build that momentum in that game. I think we know Ohio State, the way Trey Sermon's playing right now is just unreal, especially if you watched him at Oklahoma. He is just taking his game to a much higher level than we've ever seen before. And I think when Justin Fields is playing like that, when he's playing his AA plus kind of game, yeah, they can beat anybody. I think the question is, I don't know. I can't say that I was all that impressed by Ohio State's secondary against Clemson. And, I don't know that they have that kind of freaky pass rusher like they've had with Chase Young and the Bosa brothers and stuff. So can they kind of handle Alabama's incredible offensive line, and can they, prevent these big plays in the passing game from Devonta Smith and others? That's, to me, the kind of the question mark, and that's why I still would take Bama in this game. But I think it is going to be a thriller and potentially a shootout.
Max, do you have a Heisman vote?
I do.
Okay. I didn't know if you had maybe posted that like most people do or not. I might have just missed it. But what were your Heisman votes? Yeah,
I went Mac Jones first. And I kind of thought he would finish second, honestly. I thought he was I just was so impressed by what he was able to do. I know people say, hey, when you've got that offensive line and you got the receivers and Najee Harris and all that it would be easy for anybody. But I thought he put up you go look at the numbers he put up in only playing SEC games, and they were just as good as Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. I thought he had an incredible year. And so I voted him first and Devonta Smith second and Trevor Lawrence third. And that's just how I did it. But I was certainly happy for Devonta Smith. I think it's awesome that we kind of break the norm here and that you can have guys other than quarterbacks and running backs win the award. I think that's a good thing for the future here. So I was totally good with him winning.
Yeah, I really struggled with 1, 2, and 3 for a while. Then it was 1 and 2. Then it was 2 and 3. And I posted mine. I did Devontae Smith, and then Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. Max is right, though, because, I was kind of caught up in that same sort of storyline of, oh, well, look, he's got a Heisman contender at running back and a Heisman contender at wide receiver, and that's all very true. But you do look at his numbers, Max. It's like 4,000 yards, 77% completions. I mean, just ridiculous. And I don't know, somehow that flew under the radar to me just because I guess I was in awe of just the Bama machine as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that not to take anything away from Devontae Smith, who once he became the number one guy, he played better than anybody. But I think part of it was just kind of a usage thing too, and the fact that Jalen Waddle is not playing, and I think that if Waddle were out there, he probably would be taking a lot of targets away from Devontae Smith, and I don't know that Devontae would have won the Heisman. So part of it is kudos to him for stepping up in that situation and being a really, really dominant number one receiver. But I think we've seen how good Jalen Waddle can be too. And that part of it was, to me, was just with Smith was just that, yeah, he was really, really good. And you look at his numbers historically and they compare to, it's like Larry Fitzgerald and like Michael Crabtree, like some of the best guys that have played these last 20 years. But just for me, just what Smith did, what Jones did is a 3-star guy who had to back up these dudes and finally got his shot and got so much better than what we saw from him last year. I felt good about voting Mac first.
What do you think the immediate future is for Tom Herman?
I've thought about that a lot in the past week or so. And to me, like the comparison, I guess I would kind of come up with for where it goes from here, I kind of think about Lane Kiffin because I think Lane Kiffin went to USC and had kind of a similar situation where they were able to recruit at a high level he had Barkley and all these studs there, and the expectation was that, they'd be one of the best teams in the country, and they just couldn't figure it out. And so for Lane Kiffin from there, you go off to Alabama and kind of repair your career there and prove once again you're one of the sharpest coaches in the country. And then he got a G5 job, and now he's back at Ole Miss, right? And so a guy like him, after that kind of a flame out, you say like, oh wow, he really blew it. But these guys don't go away forever. I think Tom Herman, I don't know what his next move is in his career, but I could see him kind of following that track where you go have success somewhere else as a coordinator and get back to your roots as being a really sharp offensive coach. And, I think that's going to open up some doors again. So I don't think this is the last we've heard of Tom Herman, but at the same time with these guys too, like I think about how Charlie Strong just jumped right into the USF job and didn't really learn anything from his mistakes at Texas, and it didn't go well too. So I think you need to take some time and probably get away from the game a little bit and kind of contemplate how do you move forward and how do you learn from why things didn't go right. So I hope he does that too.
Thank you, Max. Craig, anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations on the kiddo coming your way. Very happy for you, man. And I know that's a big change, but we're all very happy for you, man. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. It's gonna be a fun off season here, starting in February.
Yeah, you got a new recruiting class.
Yeah,
that's it.
Spring ball going, and all that.
By the way, Eric Mateos, that is now official. Baylor just absolutely, as we were wrapping it up, Eric Mateos named Baylor offensive line coach. That is now official, with the quotes from Dave Aranda among others. And so that they turned out to be in a pretty good spot considering where they were just a couple of days ago after Ryan Pugh was no longer a part of the staff. Max, congratulations, as Craig and Paul said. Thank you for your time and have a great weekend.
Hey, thanks, guys.
That's Max Olson. A couple of other notes. We're at have high school football pick 'em here momentarily. Couple of other notes on the Cowboys again. We mentioned that Mike Nolan fired. Paul, also Tom Sula, who came in with him from San Francisco. Is that correct?
Yes. Like most of the staff for Mike McCarthy, outside of Kellen Moore, who just got an extension, were buddy hires. So it's really kind of curious to see. It's going to be curious to see how they proceed from here. I mean, do they go get somebody like Marvin Lewis or Gus Bradley or Dan Quinn to come in and run that defense? Or is it another person who's worked with Mike McCarthy? They bring George Edwards, who's on the staff as a senior defensive assistant. Does he come in? And he was Mike Zimmer's defensive coordinator for about 5 years. So we'll see what they do. I have no idea where they're going to go, but I do know this. The Jones family will be more involved this time than they were a year ago on the staff picks.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we will see. And like we were saying with Dave Aranda and this rash of hires that he has made to try and correct the lack of offensive firepower that they had last year. These are important hires. I mean, anytime you're making hires, they're important. But I was saying for Dave Aranda in particular, you can't sweep the offensive side clean again. Like this is it. Like there might be guys that leave next year. Like maybe, your whatever coach gets a job at like Auburn or something. I mean, this is college carousel. But as far as like firing guys and sweeping one side clean, you only get to do that like maybe once or twice. Now in the NFL, it might be a little bit different. But based on the season the Cowboys had, Mike McCarthy's got to kind of nail these hires. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's not a situation where they can have the wrong guys and then in a couple years redo it. I mean, I don't think he'll have that kind of a leash.
Well, look, they have enough contract decisions to make. The biggest which obviously you get Dak done, but you got to start thinking about it if Mike McCarthy, say they get Dak done and they don't win next year because the defense is still bad, Mike McCarthy's going to hit the street because that's another year they wasted with Dak, and they wasted Tony Romo's whole time.
Yeah, they did.
And they to their own admission, they said they wasted Tony Romo's time. So they don't want to do that again. They had I do sense that there's a bit more urgency around the Joneses now because it's starting to hit them like how long it's really been. And in that little period between Aikman and Romo, you think like, well, we're kind of going through it. But then you have Romo, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You get really nothing out of that era. And now you have Dak Prescott, who you could easily win a Super Bowl with if you did everything right. Worse quarterbacks than Dak have won a Super Bowl, and Dak's really good. I'm not going to say he's great, but he's a really good player. And you could win with him, and you're going to waste time.
Okay, we'll see what happens with that. Also, a couple other stories. The All-Pro team was released today. There's nobody here that is surprising. The Packers left tackle, Bakari, is that right, Paul? He's
injured.
out. Yeah, he's the one out for the year. Cowboys, I think, had 2 players who received votes, and one of them obviously was Zach Martin, but not on the All-Pro team.
Mm-hmm. Better name one name for sure. There's a Baylor player on that All-Pro team, buddy.
Yeah, Xavier Howard. Yeah, absolutely. And he absolutely more than earned that. How about the cornerbacks if you had Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey?
That would have been one of the first people you have to vote for. Like when you go through, when you have to vote for these things, the first thing I do, Smokey, is I look for statistics, like who's got big statistics, and then you kind of, on the All-Pro, it's easier. Like in college, you got to look like, this guy's this guy's got 9 interceptions, but he's in the Sun Belt. Let's make sure it's worthwhile. It's still 9 interceptions. But if you've got 10 interceptions in the NFL, you're the first team cornerback.
So the first team All-Pro defensive backs, it's X and Jalen Ramsey at your corner spots, Tyrann Mathieu, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Budda Baker, your 3 safeties. So, I mean, All-Pro, your first team All-Pro, there's a lot of great players who are not really All-Pro that much just because it's a really hard honor to get. It's not like making the Pro Bowl. This is far more exclusive than making the Pro Bowl, although if you make this, you make the Pro Bowl. But
Rodgers the quarterback, Henry the running back.
It's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And it's not like 5 teams of, like doing the Big 12
These are voted on by the players, correct?
I think so.
The All-Pro team of the players.
Yeah.
So this is your peers,
Yeah, it's your peers saying you were one of the 2 best cornerbacks in the entire National Football League. And I'll be interested to see where X falls in like the Defensive Player of the Year voting, because I think he's going to get some rub for that for sure. But, just like I predicted back in the day, I knew that Baylor was going to have a great defensive player come out of the program from the Browse years.
All right, let's rewind to 5 years ago when was it 5 years ago? 4 years ago?
What?
In Chicago. When X got drafted.
Yeah, that was
all right, so
5 years ago.
We're sitting in the auditorium, and we're literally waiting for Andrew Billings to get drafted first. That's who we thought it was going to be.
That's how dumb we are.
And then here, in the second round, the Dolphins picked Xavier Howard, and we were like, all right, I mean, great for him, but okay. And shows what we know.
Yeah, we were really there for Billings and Coleman, and then X we thought was going to be drafted. But going back even further, when they had their last media session before, what bowl game would that have been? Would that have been the Russell Athletic Bowl, I think, that he last played in?
Yeah.
I guess we were getting ready to go to Orlando for that, and before we left, there was a media session at the bank where they had X and like a few other guys. And I remember talking to X and him saying, kind of like talking about weighing his options for the next year and just thinking, like, you're not going to the NFL, dude. Like, that's how dumb I am. Like, I was just like, really? You're going to leave with a year left? Like, go early? I don't know. Maybe it was just clouded by the offensive, greatness that they had or what. But, man, I'm so glad I was wrong because just a few years later, he's one of the highest paid or has been the highest paid corners in All-Pro. That's awesome.
Here's something that it's not personal for Craig or personal for me in a way, but Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda passed away at the age of 93, of course, Hall of Fame. Here's something I want to let you know. My father-in-law, Craig's grandfather, Jim Jolly, who passed away back a little over a year ago, was in the Dodgers organization. He once told me that he and his guys that were in the minor league system, when they would sneak out at night to go and do what they would do, guess who turned them in one night?
Tommy Lasorda?
Tommy Lasorda was a rat. And I mean to tell you that he did not like it. The players didn't like. He was, and of course he became like almost all but Mr. Dodger.
Well, and I'll say this: my late father Pete, he was a huge Tommy Lasorda fan because he liked every Italian that played sports or that was in sports. So Tommy Lasorda was Italian. So we went to Vero Beach one day, and for spring training, I was like 12 years old, I want to say. And that's where the Dodgers used to train. And so we're over there, and I'm over trying to get autographs of players. And my dad was on a mission to get Tommy Lasorda to sign a picture because he loved Tommy Lasorda.
Yep.
And he got it done. And I walked over there, and they were talking about spaghetti and meatballs. It was the most Italian thing I've ever seen.
It'd be racist if it wasn't true kind of thing, like stereotype. Yeah.
I walked over, my dad's like, they're talking about this, and Tommy's like, is there a good Italian place in this town? I come here every year. And my dad's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
Awesome.
Garlic bread.
Yeah, no, we got to
red
go.
wine.
But I knew Lasorda for as much as like just
The
kind
ultra
of his
slim fast plan,
special appearances and honors as much as a manager just because of the age difference. But yeah, what a baseball legend, and rest in peace.
All right, so again, lots of different breaking news, by the way, throughout the day. And, of course, we started it out with Grant Miller from Vanderbilt committing to play at Baylor in 2021 from Vanderbilt, and also played at St. Thomas Aquinas in Florida and a part of IMG Academy. We'll have Rob Douster on college basketball at 5:20. Also some Scott Drew comments. Men's basketball plays TCU tomorrow. Rob Douster actually at 5:30 tomorrow. We'll have pick him in a second.
I want to make one mention on Grant Miller. I already forgot this somehow, but you mentioned Drew Estrada. Siaki Ika was another big addition to this team. So far, 3 transfers they brought in. You've got the Ivy League wide receiver in Drew Estrada. You've got the big nose tackle that you really didn't have last year in Siaki Ika, who has the LSU connection. And then you also have now as well the addition of Grant Miller on the offensive line. So they've addressed, 3 areas of need. But, yeah, I wanted to lump Ika in there as well because he'll certainly be a big factor, literally and figuratively, in 2021.
All right, and when we come back, we'll get into high school football pick'em. There's only 12 games left. 12 left, 8 this week and 4 next week who survived state championship Friday and Saturday next week. And we'll look at those games. And there's about 2 or 3, maybe 4, 5, or 6. There are some big banger names, but maybe there are others who are about to knock them out. Next on SicEm365 Radio, our high school pick'em. Waco Custom Marketplace. It's still hard for me to kind of discuss their product. I've been in touch and stayed in touch with Brian Bauer. We lost Mr. Bauer, David Bauer, of course, earlier this week. Had the funeral a couple of days ago. And they were down. They shut down the business, as you could imagine, because it's tough. It was a dream of the Bauer family to run the business. It was a dream to run Waco Custom Meats, which then, a few years later, of course, even recently, became Waco Custom Marketplace, your hometown grocery store with a butcher shop and a bakery like the days of old. And, of course, it's been a very difficult week for them. Waco Custom Marketplace is your home. If you want, in the mornings, fresh kolaches, fresh baked bread, and all the goodies you want when it comes to pastries and dessert. And, of course, the butcher shop, how you want your custom-made or custom-cut meat. And if you also want pork, poultry, and seafood, they can help you with that. By the way, they have Norwegian salmon that's absolutely delicious, and big prawns and lobster tails among that as well. David Bauer was amazing. Brian Bauer and the family are going to continue the tradition like David Bauer continued the tradition of the Bauer family at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco at WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Core has the trucks, man. The have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man, he has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation. Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. This high school football pick'em. Right now, 3-game lead over Craig, 4 over Grayson. There are 12 games left, 8 this weekend. Balmorhea, by the way, Balmorhea beat Richland Springs in that 6-man championship game that had been postponed because of COVID. So there are 8 games, and you've got some dogs now. South Lake Carroll, Duncanville, North Shore, Westlake, Cedar Hill, Geyer, Katy, Ryan, Cedar Park, Aledo, some dogs, some new names as well.
I'm done. I'm not making up 3 games in a week.
You have 4 games next week as well.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that I'll make that up. I can't remember what the game was now, but I made a bad pick because I was gone and I sent you it, but I sent you my original one. There was one game, and I feel like that one game's going to cost me. I feel like I'm going to finish like 1 game behind.
You know what? What really did me in, other than that one really bad week I had a couple weeks ago, but as far as getting to 3rd place, was constantly supporting Armstrong. Until last week, it was
Highland Park.
Last week,
it was worth it.
Yeah, Armstrong, I think that was the pick I'm talking about. I think I sent Highland Park, which was my original picks, and I did not change it.
It was against who was it against? It was against Ryan.
Yeah. I had picked Highland Park originally. I changed my mind, but I sent you the Highland Park, and then it was too late. I didn't care that much, and I think that's probably going to cost me too much. But
you didn't care.
Let me tell you something.
So important here.
No, I actually do. I'm not going to say I don't care. I do care about the pick'ems. I was mad at myself.
Yeah, Paul went with the Fighting Randy Allens, and
did.
Cost you. Yeah, he and you.
So way to go, Armstrong.
So here, watch it. Armstrong, would you put those up again? I want everyone to see them. I mean, I didn't about 2 or 3 weeks ago because Grayson was a pain in the ass. With all of a sudden him making that 18-2 week when everyone else was like 12-8.
I'm super happy that I have solidly locked up 4th place. I mean, that's good.
Magic number is not over. You're 11 up. There's 12 games left.
I feel good. I feel good about it. So
Deontay made a nice run this past week. Had a great week at 13-3. In fact, I got to give credit one time to Dylan. One time, Dylan actually, I gave him credit for an actual win. He contacted me, say, hey, you gave me credit for a win and it was a loss.
I've done that.
Craig's done that too.
Have you ever seen that commercial and it's for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it's like a guy who's like, the ball's out on, like the ball went out on him and they called it the other way. And then he goes over to his coach. He's like, Coach, it was out on me.
That's the worst.
And then they like change the thing. I know even the best coach would be like, hey, even the nicest most be like, hey, shh.
Yeah.
Like something will go their way later on. Don't worry about it. Shut up. Shut up right now.
So here we go with here we go. And Pick'em's 8 games. Paul, Craig, David, that's me. And then I've got mine locked in. There's one game I'm not sure about. Paul, go ahead. Duncanville and South Lake Carroll.
Duncanville.
Paul, Craig?
Yeah, I'm afraid these aren't going to be a lot of mixes, but I'm going to go Duncanville.
North Shore and Westlake, and this is split with the people who have already voted. Craig?
Go Austin Westlake.
You know, that's not. I'm going to take North Shore because the last time I picked against them, they drilled Shadow Creek because I was an idiot.
Telling you right now, I'm just trying to find ways to maybe gain a game or two.
There's a very good job. Brian's picked Westlake. Grayson's picked Westlake.
I'm going to pick North Shore.
Okay.
Smart pick, probably. But that should be a great game.
Denton Geyer and Cedar Hill. We had Rodney Webb on, the head coach at Geyer. I'll take Cedar Hill. Paul?
Cedar Hill.
Craig?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cedar Hill.
Okay. Katy and Hayes Consolidated. Paul, they're playing at McLean Stadium Saturday afternoon.
I see you've already typed in Katy, Katy.
What happens is if I type in...
No, I know. It's Katy. It's Katy.
All right. Craig?
I mean, you know me. Well,
I got to go Katy.
Summit, the Cinderella team right now, along with Crosby and Veterans Memorial, Summit and Denton Ryan. Craig?
Denton Ryan.
I take Ryan.
I'll take Ryan.
All right. Cedar Park and Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, they've been a great run. Crosby's head coach was at Veterans Memorial as a coordinator. I'm going to take Cedar Park. Paul?
Cedar Park.
Craig?
I'm going to go Cedar Park.
Okay. Aledo and Wichita Falls Rider. This is me. I'll take Aledo. Paul?
Yeah, Aledo.
Craig?
You guys are so brave. As I say that, I will also take Aledo.
Wichita Falls Rider, J.T. Barnett. And remember, Barrett, excuse me. I always say that. Went to Ohio State, hell of a player. We did their game against Midway up at Midlothian, I think
that was pre-Craig, wasn't it?
It had to have been, yeah. I didn't cover J.T. Barrett in high school, but I really loved covering him for the Earl Campbell Award, and, yeah, he was awesome.
All right, so Crosby, the Cinderella team, unbeaten Liberty Hill, who had 700-plus rushing yards last week in their win. I think it was against Flower? Who was that they beat? Okay, Craig, your turn.
Oh, it's my turn?
No, I'll go. I had Crosby. I'm going to stick with him. I think they're Cinderella. I know I'm going to be wrong here.
No.
Paul. Oh. Go ahead, Craig.
Okay, I mean, for the sake of being different and trying to gain a game here, and I think Liberty Hill's probably the favorite. I'm going to go Liberty Hill.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, I'm the same on Smokey at every other pick this week. I'll go Liberty Hill. What the heck?
Yeah, that might be one where I cough it up. So, Craig, you're only 3 back. Westlake and Liberty Hill. There's no reason that can't happen.
No, it can. But if I was 2 back heading into this week, I maybe don't make like the gamble. Yeah,
I would trick you.
But hey, it's all strategy. I'm cool where I am. I got to fend off Grayson. He's nipping at my heels by a game.
How much of a pain in the butt has he been this year?
I think we should eliminate him from the competition next year, honestly.
Armstrong?
How do we know that he's making these picks? How do we know
and not his wife or something like that?
How do we know that's not somebody else? We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on Grayson, I will say this about Grayson. He does absolutely love this competition. So that's great. That's great to have people involved who want to be involved and have fun with it. No matter where we all end up finishing, because that just makes the competition a lot better as we get to the end, especially. But, yeah, and, hey, kudos to Dylan and Deontay, too, man. Like like you said, Deontay had a big week a couple of weeks ago, and instead of just, like, halfway through, especially once football season kind of ended and we didn't see each other, instead of just like, I'm not going to do it anymore, they stayed with it, so props to you guys.
He could have been Doug Peterson.
Also, their records are very respectable. We've seen people in the first year of this thing have worse.
Well over 100 above 100 games above 500.
70. That's pretty close to 67-70%.
Yeah.
Now, on the Westlake game with North Shore, North Shore's this is Jerry Forrest Pigskin Prep. This is a 1-point game. Duncanville's a 2 touchdown favorite. Of course, South Lake Carroll with Ewers, the quarterback who's Ohio State commit. You wonder if that changes with Sarkisian now where he was a UT commit. That game with Westlake and Todd Dodge's team's playing great defense. Katy and Cedar Hill. Katie's a 22-point favorite. Again, they do that in high school football. Cedar Hill's a touchdown pick. Ryan, 22 pick over Summit. Cedar Park, 11-point favorite. Aledo. Crosby is actually a slight favorite over Liberty Hill, which is surprising to me. That's kind of surprising to me. All right, so there we go. We'll have the 4 games next week, and we'll keep up with that throughout the week. Again, Eric Mateos is now official. We told you that. Grant Miller from Vanderbilt committed to Baylor live on this show, 3:05 today. And he's headed to play for Dave Aranda, and Eric Mateos will now be his offensive line coach. And what Craig mentioned, make sure we don't lose this sight, is that Siaki Ika, he was,
Apu, yeah.
He faced Grant Miller when they played.
Thanks to Brian for bringing that up, that They faced off, I guess it was 2 years ago. LSU and Vanderbilt played, and I don't know how much they went against each other. I imagine quite a bit, with Ika being right there in the middle of the D-line. But, yeah, those two have faced off with one another. I had thought of that earlier, probably asked Grant Miller about that. But, yeah, they'll get to go against each other in practice. So two big additions for Baylor for sure. And now with that announcement of Mateos, the coaching staff's complete. Like, I know there will be other things behind the scenes. Like, I'm sure they've got to still fill out some of the strength and conditioning and, stuff like that. But Jeff Grimes is your new OC and tight ends coach. Sean Bell, your quarterbacks coach. Eric Mateos, offensive line. Chancey Stuckey at wide receiver. And Vic Valoria, your strength and conditioning coach, replacing Fedora, Wickline, Munoz, and Campbell. So it's all complete. And I guess they'll have some others, peripheral positions. But, great job by Dave Aranda to get this done.
Sean Bell, it appears, will be the passing game coordinator. He's a quarterback's coach. He's a passing coordinator. Obviously, Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, with now Mateos, the offensive line coach. And you heard from Jake Hatch earlier in a segment we have up on our site from Brigham Young. He covers Locked On Cougars, that Grimes is very much someone who is going to allow others to have a big impact in what they decide to do. Cincinnati's defensive coordinator. Go ahead, Craig, on that. Marcus Freeman's a dude now.
Yeah, Cincinnati defensive coordinator, a little breaking college football news. Marcus Freeman named the new defensive coordinator and linebackers coach at Notre Dame. So taking a big step up there. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that's a great hire for Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Man, that's a great hire.
It is.
Also, let me see here. Yeah, we got a lot. We got to hit the 5 o'clock hour. We'll have Scott Drew, Baylor men's basketball against TCU tomorrow. We'll have a little bit about that. Also, Rob Douster from thefield68.com. He's the one that decided to put that site together. We've seen Ashley and Jason King, of course, very heavily involved. And it was so cool. I'm going to say this again. Chris Fuentes and Ashley were here late after the Oklahoma win, post-game. Tomorrow, I think they're going to do pregame. Is that right, Armstrong? Are they doing pregame before TCU tomorrow?
He's looking at you like,
Armstrong
what?
Just went, I need to go to Balcones.
Yeah.
I'm not aware.
Maybe it was something, I don't know.
Well, I did enjoy their post game the other night. Good, two dudes who know a lot about basketball, know a lot about the ins and outs and things like that. So if you need a basketball fix, especially Baylor related, those two guys will hook you up for sure.
I'm just glad that Fuentes came down enough to be on television.
Oh, Lord.
That guy is fired up.
Yeah, no question. All right, when we come back, Baylor basketball tomorrow against TCU and also Rob Douster. How about what Illinois did last night to Northwestern in the second half? We'll bring that up to him and much more. Armstrong, Sims, Jack, McKenzie runs the mothership with both of them. They are both amazing. Our behind-the-scenes help today with what Brian Etheridge did, also with what Colt Barber did, and, of course, many others. We opened up 11-2 with Up-Tempo. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, a hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street. I'm on their Facebook page right now, and it's been a couple weeks since they got the single barrel single malt whiskey from Balcones, and they have a great selection of Balcones. So if they're out of that by now, because it was just a few bottles that they had, and we all got some, and it's absolutely fantastic. But if they're out of that, look, if they have a wide selection of Balcones. So if you want to pick up some Balcones, you can go there and get it. And you can also get a great selection of other spirits and wine. Oh, my gosh, the wall that they have of wine selection is absolutely unbelievable that they have there. And the best and widest selection of craft beer in Waco. So if you are looking to stock up for the weekend, looking for a gift for someone, whatever it is, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
MP Electric has developed a quality-oriented electrical contracting service in more than 20 years in the industry. Led by President Mark Perry, our electricians go through a 5-year apprenticeship program, are licensed by the state of Texas, and getting continuous education annually upon renewal. In great part, the success of MP Electric lies with its management and professional expertise of its employees. All of our employees share a dedication to quality and commitment to serving the needs of our customers. For new construction and remodels, parking lot, lighting and surge protection, landscape lights, security lights, troubleshooting and repairs. For industrial manufacturing, food and beverage, paper and publishing, heavy industry, cement and rock crushing plants, water distribution plants, and utilities. For 20 years, MP Electric has serviced industrial, commercial, and residential products. We do service right. MP Electric Inc. at 1890 Galaxy Road, Waco. MPElectricusa.com.
It's a new new year, time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Hi, this is David Smoak, including what you'll need to watch the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Ribs, sausage, links, brisket, chicken wings, bags of various snacks, and customized appetizer trays. Don't forget to order something now for the perfect home-cooked Valentine's Day dinner, which is closer than you think, including combo packs with ribeyes, fillets, and lobster tails. Live crawfish season is just around the corner. Absolutely the right time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Waco Custom Marketplace, your family meat market, butcher shop and bakery with everything baked fresh with old-fashioned farmers market atmosphere. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Oh, a little step back. Beautiful on the score for Steve.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
NFL playoffs tomorrow, then a couple of notes about Baylor men's basketball. Tomorrow, the games at just after noon, number 7 seeded Colts at number 2 and red-hot, flame-throwing Buffalo Bills. You guys want to make a pick there?
Bills. I'm taking the Bills.
Why do I feel like the Colts are dangerous?
They are. I mean, this is a great first round matchup, really. I mean, you got a team, the Colts has a really good defense. The Bills have a good defense. They have a fantastic offense, one of the best in the league. Stephon Diggs has been amazing.
Man, he's almost been an MVP type guy.
Yeah. Former Cowboy Cole Beasley was what a heck of a signing and fits in really well there. And so, yeah, they're I wonder at the Bills next year, because obviously the next thing they got to get is a consistent running game, which they've been able to win without, with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss this year kind of sharing carries. If they got a dude running back, that's going to be a team that,
you think Frank Gore's going to play anymore?
I don't think so. I mean, it's
Jonathan Taylor, of course, had a monster game.
Yep.
All right, Craig, Rams at number 3, Seattle, and Seattle's kind of been wobbly on, but so have the Rams.
Go Rams here.
I'm going to take the Seahawks just because the Rams they've had a lot of injuries in the offense and in and outs, and Jared Goff's played so poorly down the stretch. I'll take Russell Wilson.
Every time he does that, he comes back the next week with
You just made me just totally regret my pick
You could change it.
No. I mean, Paul's got a great point, especially, Russell Wilson's the first thing I think of, and in the battle of him and Goff, Wilson's a smarter pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
First career playoff start for Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Jamal Adams, he was not a former Texas defensive back, but they wanted him to be, just like everybody else in the country wanted Jamal Adams to be a defensive back, and an Aranda guy, Jamal Adams. But did y'all read that Earl Thomas story?
Yes.
Yeah, man, what a sideways career.
And it got out of hand fast. It just went from normal to
like all pro to just off the rails.
And we mentioned that story yesterday when I forgot who it was, but that's not good.
You know, when you look back on something that I was there, standing outside the locker room when he ran into the Cowboys locker room, and I remember thinking that's such an odd thing. But now, like, looking back on it, like, that's maybe one of the first things that you think of, like, well, that's not something that a normal, like, a person that's got it going the right way.
Yeah, that was very much. He's the look at me guy. He's a hell of a player, but he kind of just lost it.
Now teams don't, like, the Ravens were like, see it, dude. I mean, if the Ravens are saying that, then, you've got some issues to take care of.
T-Rex, by the way, Baylor, and we'll get to that because college basketball with it. Number 5 seed, which is a little bit misleading, against number 4 seed Washington Football Franchise Club Organization of D.C.
Well, you should mention the number 5 seed's the Bucks and
Tampa Bay.
Bucks
this is
Washington.
Brady against the Redskins defense, but he's got those weapons. He's got all those weapons.
I think Brady's going to have a hard time with that defensive line because everybody does with Washington, but they have too many weapons, and Washington just cannot score enough to keep up with them.
Yeah, I don't trust the Redskins offense. Gosh, Washington offense. It's been an entire season, and we're still getting used to that. But
be careful, Craig, what you say over the next 12 years. It could get you in trouble.
I know. I'll take the Buccaneers.
You guys are haters.
I can't trust the Washington offense to produce enough.
Armstrong, you going to pick the Washington Football Organization Club franchise with me?
All right, sure. I'll throw you a bone.
I don't know how they're going to score, but maybe the defense. The only way they can win, this is seriously, is to get this game that can't get above about 20, 21 points. Defense scores, which they almost did against Philly, that when Chase Young just picks it up like a grapefruit and just starts carrying it, it looked like he was going to score again. Get a couple of field goals, field position. That's it. They got to sack Brady like 5 or 6 times, but there's so many weapons. I got to tell you this. I'm exhausted by being a fan of a team that had games that mattered, no matter the record, that games that mattered late in the year. I have not been used to this, and I'm worn out with them taking me into the playoffs.
I think it's awesome. They have not been relevant since RG3's rookie year. The only thing they've been known for is scandals behind the scenes with Daniel Snyder and infighting and, just a big hot mess is what Washington was for the longest time after RG3. And now to see them in this position and just doing it by, selecting really good draft picks, building up a defensive line, playing great defense. I really love what Ron Rivera has done. They got to go find a steady quarterback eventually for the next few years that'll be the guy on offense. I like Alex Smith as a placeholder if he can be healthy, but I know they're already talking about Taylor Heineke's probably going to have to play tomorrow, and that's unfortunate. But it's been a great story. It really has. Washington's rise back to the playoffs.
So that's tomorrow night. And
but I'm still going Bucks.
Okay, and then I know we got to get to on Sunday, first game, Ravens at Titans. This is going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I'm going to take the Titans. I think, as good as the Ravens are not as good on defense as they have been. The Titans are really not good on defense at all. So it's going to be a lot of running the ball, but I'll take the more offensive weapons that the Titans have over the Ravens in this one.
Yeah, I'll take the Titans as well. I think it should be a great, just physical football game, but I'll take Tennessee.
All right, I'll take the Titans as well, although it seems like Lamar Jackson's starting to get his stuff together. Bears, who slide in with their win at the end of last week with Trubisky against the number 2 Saints.
I'll take the Saints. The Bears have been playing better, but, I mean, they they're not there. They're not really there.
Okay. All right. And the last game of this group is who? Who's the last game? I don't even know. Browns. Oh, this is going to be juicy. Browns and Steelers. They just played. Browns won, and they play again. I don't trust the Steelers, but they're at home in a playoff game.
Look, this is my upset special of the week. I'm calling Browns. Back-to-back week beating the Steelers. Now, the Steelers throttled it down last week and didn't play anybody, but I'm calling Browns in this game, despite all their COVID problems.
I want the Browns to win. I will rejoice if the Browns win, but I am picking Pittsburgh to win this game.
Okay, all right. Now, tomorrow, Baylor men's basketball. I'm going to take – well, I would love to see Cleveland win, but I'm going to go – home games with the play have not been – it's been 50-50, right? So I don't know if that's going to change or not. Boy, the Steelers have really struggled. I'm going to take Baker Mayfield and the Browns just for the hell of it, and I hope that they do win the game.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And, I mean, Baker – He's a wild card, but he's a fun guy, I think, overall, and so that would be awesome. But yeah, you see the Oregon note?
No.
Yeah. So Jeremiah Dickey has made his first head football coaching hire at Boise State.
Wow, who did he get?
Oregon defensive coordinator Andy Avalos will be the new head coach at Boise State, according to Pete Thamel. So Jeremiah Dickey bringing in Oregon's DC to be the head coach of the Broncos, the Boise State Broncos, that is.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of coaching changes, a lot of coaching additions. And again, if you had not heard, Eric Mateos, official now from Baylor, offensive line coach from Brigham Young, and Grant Miller, Vanderbilt, is committed to play at Baylor as well, grad transfer.
Jeremiah's a smart guy. Boise State, all the people that have been head coach there recently, from Dan Hawkins on down here to Brian Harsin, have a connection to Boise State. Andy Avalos played and coached at Boise State.
There you go. Good job, Paul. That's from Jeremiah Dickey throwing down. Now, tomorrow, Big 12, Baylor plays at TCU, and they had a media session earlier today. Baylor 3-0 in the conference. TCU... They've given them a problem. They have given them Baylor some problems.
Well, Desmond Bain got kind of locked ridiculously in that game last year, and Baylor, in a game that they should have won, had no answer for him. But he was a great player. He's not there anymore. Now they're more powerful down low. But kind of a couple of issues with this team. I saw, and one is not issues or just things going on. They're in a rhythm now. They've been able to play for a little while, and looks like they're kind of in a groove. And I asked Scott Drew about being in that rhythm and being able to navigate all of this and how different it is this year, being able to establish a rhythm when there's so many stops and starts.
Definitely, the more you have some consistency, the better you get with things. And normally you worry about the grind of things and keeping things fresh. And today, you're just hoping that today's day and age, you're just hoping that the tests are negative and you're able to keep some of the rhythm and some of the grind going. So it does help with the freshness, from the standpoint guys know, hey, at any point we could be shut down. So let's take advantage of it.
All right, so that's Scott Drew on that. And
look, they've had great stretches, and they've had some times in games where they turn the ball over a lot. But Scott Drew had a little wisdom here on when you watch the film, it's never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think.
I think what you try to do after each game, one thing I've found as a coach, normally when you watch the film, you're never as good as you thought and you're never as bad as you thought. And a lot of times you might have some really good looks and you miss them and you're like, dang, our offense wasn't good tonight. But then when you look at the film, you're like, we had good shots. We just didn't make them, which would have made your offense look a lot more efficient. Right now, I think the big thing is after you look at the analytics and stat everything, you try to find areas where you can improve. If it's transition, if it's in your sets, if it's your action after your sets. And right now, we really don't have a big enough sample size to know if there is areas that are big concerns, because you're statistically and analytically number 3 offense in the country. So there's only 2 spots to go up out of 357. And then you're only you're 5th on defense, and there's only 4 spots to go up. So you always can play better, but I don't think there's any areas where there's major concern or alarms going off. Again, you're going to try to, after each game, assess shot selection, turnovers, were they forced, were they careless, what were they, how can we clean them up? And sometimes you got to credit the defenses as well, mixing up what they do, because sometimes people game plan different for us than they do for other teams.
That's Scott Drew. And again, tomorrow against TCU, 2:00 tip in Fort Worth. Texas at West Virginia. That's a good one. At noon in Morgantown, Texas Tech and Ames against Iowa State. And Kansas at home against Oklahoma. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Now, Baylor has TCU on the road tomorrow. Then West Virginia early next week. Isn't that right? On Tuesday. home against West Virginia, then at Texas Tech the following weekend.
And then,
but there are no
Kansas,
easies. Yeah,
then Kansas here.
Yeah.
Now West Virginia is a little different now that Shibaway, is that his name, is in the transfer portal. So he was one of their better players, and now he's in the portal. So
that's a tough turnaround. Texas Tech Saturday. Yeah, no, you're right. So they have TCU tomorrow, West Virginia next Tuesday, then at Texas Tech on Saturday, and then a Monday game at home against KU. Wow,
that'll be a big Monday. Legitimately, that's the name of it, but that really will be a big Monday, although Kansas can't really afford to drop another game before then, but that'll be a big matchup regardless.
When we come back, he covers college basketball, thefield68.com. Jason King's a part of that. Ashley Hodge, of course, also a part of SicEm365.com. When we come back, Rob Douster on college basketball, his thoughts about Baylor, and so much more on this crazy and wild and very busy Friday on SicEm365 Radio.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
By the way, just a note, Tyler McComas, who does a talk show in Norman, sent me a video, Eric Mateos, when he was at Brigham Young. This is back in November when he had a friend celebrating a birthday. So he sent a note to Mateos, who's now at Baylor. And he said, hey, can you shout out to my friend having a birthday? And it shows him walking up and down the offices, the football offices, talking to this young man about his birthday. And Jeff Grimes, of course, with his office. We're going to see if I can get clearance to run this before we end the show. Rob Douster, the field68.com is on fire. It's about college basketball. If you love it, you need to be on the field68.com, and he joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Rob, I know you've been covering college athletics and basketball for a long, long time. So how did this opportunity with the Field of 68 start and the dream that you had?
Because I got fired. No, so I worked for NBC for 12 years,
yep.
And in their COVID cutbacks in August, I was one of the ones that got caught up. And after it happened, I just, I was tired of working for major media that didn't view college basketball and college sports the way that I viewed it. So I figured I might as well just start my own company and see what happens. And I partnered with Jeff Goodman, who used to work at ESPN and who's worked at Fox and CBS and basically everywhere at this point. So we did that, and we decided to launch this thing. And it's gone well. It's been a lot of work, but and I know I was expecting it to be a lot of work. So it's been fun though. It's the first time in a while where I'm really kind of enjoying and feeling rewarded by the job that I've been doing.
You know what? We got to share something with you.
It's our story.
We were fired back in mid-March, and it was almost, in some cases, it was surprising in a way, but not, and it was a relief. And we've been on this journey since April the 6th with this brand new show, TV, video. We can relate to you 100%.
Yeah, it's a wild ride, man. And the thing that was that's been cool to experience, at least on mine, and I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but just figuring out that we can do all this stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
The audience is going to be there if you're good enough, right? Yep. And being able to kind of take charge of the content you produce and be able to sell it on your own and be able to develop it on your own and produce and do the things that you actually want to do instead of having to worry about whether or not something fits. I don't want to corporate standard sounds like I want to do something crazy, but making the stuff that you want to make without having any editorial oversight by people that don't really understand you or your audience has been something that's been kind of freeing. It's been really enjoyable.
Amen to that, Rob. Your thoughts so far on this Baylor team that is so far it's been Scott Drew's opus, and it's kind of the perfect Scott Drew team. And I kind of thought that about last year's team before even, thinking that that could even be any better.
Yeah, I mean, they've been awesome. I don't really know what else there's to say about it. I think we knew they were going to be awesome. The thing that's really stood out to me in terms of what this team has been specifically has been, one, Adam Flagler has had a much more of an impact than I initially expected. We knew he could shoot, and I heard the same things that I'm sure you guys heard about how good he was in practices, and every player that has ever redshirted in the history of college basketball was the best player in practice that they had during his redshirt season. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I mean, he's been really good. But to me, Davion Mitchell, his development from being a guy that was kind of like a defensive stopper where you had questions about how good of a shooter he actually was, to being a secondary playmaker, a guy that can make all the reads that Jared Butler can make at the point, that is shooting 45% from three right now. He's grown into a guy where I'm like, if I'm an NBA GM, I'm taking him in the second round. And I never thought that I would be saying that about Davion Mitchell. So the fact that you now have Jared Butler, first-team All-American, you have Macy Ot, 23 years old, should have been a first-team All Big 12 player last year. Now you have Davion Mitchell, who's playing like an NBA player. You got Mark Vital, who's the best at what he does in all of college basketball. You put those four guys together, and it almost doesn't really matter who else you have on the floor. They're gonna find a way to make it work. So it's been a lot of fun to watch this team grow and develop, and they're really good, man. Scott Drew might be bringing a national title back to Baylor.
If he ever does that, I mean, that's going to be incredible. I mean, just given where the program was when he took it over. And what does it say about him that he's able to bring in all of these transfers? He's also able to recruit the guys that he brings in and just make it mix and mesh so well.
The thing that I've always been so impressed with Scott, what I think he does the absolute best is his ability to identify not just talent, but the personalities that fit in with the culture that he's trying to develop, right? It's not just, he's finding guys that can do the things that he wants them to do on a basketball court. He's finding guys that that will play hard, that will embrace this idea that we're going to be a defensive first team, that are going to enjoy the process of being better at basketball players. And, I don't think that it's a coincidence that, they're not the only team in the country that's been able to figure these things out and find ways to get development within your program, find ways where you almost don't need the coaching staff involved because the players will hold each other accountable during summer workouts. And I don't think it's coincidence that the three teams that I think are the best at this in college basketball, Villanova, Gonzaga, and Baylor, are the three teams that entered the season as preseason top three teams. So the way that he can find the guys that will fit everything that he wants out of a college basketball player is really, really impressive. I mean, you can tell he does his homework with every guy that he recruits.
How much of a bummer was it? And Baylor's got their own sledgehammer in the Big 12, as does everybody else, with coming up, obviously, what Texas has done, hammering Kansas, West Virginia, among others. How much of a bummer was it that Gonzaga game with Baylor did not happen?
I mean, it's awful. Like I hate everything about it. I understand why they had to make the decision that they made, and I know that there was like some criticism involved with everything that happened there. But in my mind, like, that game getting canceled, the way that it got canceled is the process for making sure that everybody stays safe working.
Yep.
But I wanted that as bad as anybody else. And as soon as I heard that Gonzaga had scheduled Virginia for the day after Christmas, I was like, man, there goes the window. That was the one chance that we were going to have to actually get this game played in the regular season. But I'll tell you this much, man. I don't see how we don't get Baylor Gonzaga in the national title game, barring like some kind of weird, like positive test, something along those lines. I really do think that these are the two best teams in the country. I think they are a step above everybody else. I think they're in a tier all their own. So I'm hoping we get that game at some point in the Final Four, hopefully for the national title. I mean, that's everything you want out of college basketball right there.
There's some new blood in the top 10. I mean, you talk about Texas and Shaka Smart and what they've been able to do. Iowa is a fantastic team. I'm not ever going to go as far as to say as there's a sea change in college basketball, because eventually the North Carolinas and Kentuckys and Dukes will find their way back, into the winner's circle. But do you see a little bit of the way that now transfers work, that it's not guaranteed to be one of about 5 teams in the championship game every year?
Yeah, and I think that this year has kind of really made that stand out because you didn't get a chance to develop with each other in the offseason. So you're seeing all these teams that had the roster continuity, that had the players coming back, that didn't need an offseason to figure out how everything is going to fit together. They're the ones having success early on this season, right? Gonzaga brought so many people back. Baylor brought everybody back. Texas basically has the same team that they had last year, whereas all of these brand new teams, whether it's Kentucky or Duke or you mentioned North Carolina, they're trying to rebuild with a bunch of freshmen that have never played at this level before. And that's not an easy thing to do in a normal year, let alone a year where you don't get any kind of regular off-season practices. You don't get captains practices. You don't have these players that are able to spend the amount of time together that they usually spend. That's as big of a thing as anything. Like, I talked with one coach who coaches at the mid-major ranks out west, and he said that he had players on his team that had not actually met face-to-face as of November 19th.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's crazy to think about. They couldn't have practices where everybody was together. So he had big guys and small guys that had never actually met face-to-face. They had met on Zoom, they had met on phone calls, but they had never actually met face-to-face until 6 days before the season was supposed to start. That's insane.
Rob, it's a random question. Who's your favorite team to watch this year?
I mean, it's Gonzaga. They're such a high-powered offense. Like, I think that they are as good as any team we've seen in college basketball in the last decade. I've said this before. I'm on the record saying this. 2018 Villanova, 2015 Kentucky, 2012 Kentucky, 2009 North Carolina. To me, those are the 4 best teams that I've seen since I've been doing this, since I've been in this business. And I think Gonzaga is just as good as any of them. Now, that said, I think that there's a real world where Baylor is just as good. I mean, we know how good they are defensively. And they have like 6 guys on their perimeter that are all shooting better than 40% from 3. That's absolute sorcery, right? That everybody on their perimeter is shooting better than 40% from 3, and you're that good defensively. So that's part of the reason why I want to see these two teams play each other so badly, because I know how good Gonzaga is. I know how good Baylor can be when they are at their best. Like, can we get these teams to play each other, please? NCAA tournament basketball gods, one time. That's all I need from you. These two teams in the national title game.
It would be great. Rob, I love the name, the field68.com, first of all. It's a website, but where college basketball is the priority. And so if you're a college basketball hoops junkie, that's where, and Jason King, who does quite a bit of work covering Baylor, he does work with you as well on the Field of 68 with his podcast and much more. Of course, he's been a national writer with college basketball for a long, long time. You mentioned Jeff Goodman. He's been a part of our show. It's an amazing, it's kind of it's a great mixture of the national writers. You've done a great job with it, man.
Well, I appreciate that. The model that we were trying to go after was getting people that knew each of the biggest programs and the programs that matter the most, get them and have them host a podcast. You know, I think it's really the thing that I think fans want is content that's specifically dedicated to their team, where all you have to do is you turn in and you turn on the radio, or you turn on a stream on YouTube, or you like flip on a podcast while you're mowing the lawn or something, and you can hear a bunch of people that love that program, that follow that program as closely as you do, and hear like all the ins and outs. Like the thing that I love about Jason and Ashley Hodge, who do the SicEm365 podcast on our network, is that like they'll be in there and they'll be debating the merits of like the seventh or eighth guy on Baylor's team, and it's like nobody except for the people that really care about Baylor are going to want to hear that. But there are people that really care about Baylor that want to hear that, and you're not going to get that. You know, I understand why it is the way it is, that from a national perspective, right? Like you need to be able, you know, I've worked at Sports Illustrated, I've worked at NBC Sports. You need to be able at that level to attract a national audience. And there's only so many topics in the college basketball realm that can attract a national audience. That doesn't mean that there aren't millions of people that love their favorite college basketball team, but there just so happens to be like 80 high major teams. Right. And when you got to split those eyeballs over that many teams, it's a little bit more difficult than when, say, you know, like 25% of all NBA fans just like the Lakers because they're bandwagon fans, or 20% of NFL fans love the Cowboys because everybody that's about my age loves the Cowboys for some reason. So it's tough, and I get why the national media landscape is what it is. But I just saw, I mean, there's a void there. You guys, you're doing exactly what we wanted to do. Like, it's the exact same concept. So I'm glad that we've been able to find an audience of people that actually care about this stuff.
And of course, Indiana gets to what looks like is going to host the entire tournament. Is there a better state to do that?
No, it's great. And you know, it's a shame that there's not really going to be anybody to go to this, because I can't imagine, as like a hoops junkie, I can't imagine anything better than having a 68-team NCAA tournament where everything is like an hour drive away. Just imagine being like, you know what, I don't like the second matchup in this game, so I'm just getting in my car and drive over to Purdue's gym. You know, like, I'm at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. I don't like this matchup. I want to go over and see Baylor play in their Sweet 16 game at Hinkle Fieldhouse. So it's just, everything about it is so awesome. And I do think that, look, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a big event in Indianapolis.
Yeah, we had Super Bowl.
In my mind, the best. So, you know, it's the best city to have a major sporting event.
Absolutely.
Because the thing about it is, like, the football dome is right here. Then the basketball arena is right here. Then you have all of the best bars and restaurants right next to that. And then right next to that is where all the hotel, like everything that you could ever want to go to in the city of Indianapolis is walking distance away from each other.
Yeah.
It's perfect for having big events.
Do you think that they will, I mean, at least maybe not in the early rounds, but later on, at least to kind of, because I've covered the NCAA tournament a lot of times, and sometimes you're in cities and it's you and, like, you know, the little pockets of, you know, the Harvard fans and the, you know, Grand Valley State fans that happen to be there and no one else in a stadium. Do you think this might be something they do to, like, maximize the tournament in the future if it at least works logistically?
No, because I think you want to be able to spread it, because it limits the travel for all of these teams. You know, one of the things that you always hear about with the logistics of this is, so the NCAA pays for all of the flights for these teams, and they charter everything. And like in the first couple of weeks of March, there's always a shortage of private planes to be able to fly these guys around. That's part of the reason why they've been trying to keep everyone closer to home. You know how that's been part of the thing with the NCAA tournaments and the bracketology and getting all these team seasons. They really paid attention to the travel. Part of the reason is because of the shortage of private flights, which is, I feel like it's such a ridiculous thing to say, but it's kind of true. I would love to see it be something like that. You know, I think there's so many cool ideas for things that you could do, like put all 4 games in one site at the same time in one, like get it in the dome, right? And have 4 courts set up and play them all next to each other like it's an AAU tournament. I think that would be fun. There's so many things that you can do that would be unique. I just, you know, it's gonna take away some of the profitability of it. Let's just put it like that. So I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Rob, thank you very much. We appreciate your knowledge, your insight. Also, congratulations on what you did launching into what is, of course, has been a crazy 8 to 10, 12 months as well. Good luck with it all.
Yeah, man. Glad you bounced back.
You guys as well, man. You guys as well. We're both in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. We sure are. It's a fraternity. That's, again, Rob Douster with NBC SI. Now he is a co-founder with Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68.com. That's a great story. There's so many stories you see. People who have launched their sites or their businesses who were laid off, who were let go, who were fired, who were whatever, for whatever reasons. And then in the middle of all this, sometimes you come out of it on the other end of it, business-wise, professionally, in much better shape.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to kiss any butt here, but can't say thank you enough to Brian, Colt, and Ashley for the opportunity. And, you know, certainly our big change in the spring was the biggest blessing in disguise. I mean, I kind of had been feeling that way regardless, but, you know, for you two guys, I mean, I don't think you could have imagined. I mean, I didn't imagine all this, but, you know, you two guys were a little bit more of the unknown. I can't think that you guys had any sort of a hint it would turn out this way.
No,
and for Rob and them, I mean, you know, hey, you get fired, and what do? You go start your own website, and they do a great job. And Jason and Ashley's podcast is a much listen if you're a Baylor basketball fan.
There's lots of great stuff on the Field of 68. And look, they have general, you know, like Goodman and Hummel in the podcast. They have all the great stuff that they have there. But yeah, I remember I was telling somebody about it the other day, just kind of describing last night I was at Brotherwell doing trivia, and somebody was asking me about how we like it here. I said we literally have had 0 complaints about anything ever. Yeah. Like it's almost been a year, and there's not been a day where we've been like, well, dang it, that's not right. Yeah. And I said I can't. It's a 180 from, you know, where we were before, and not to just dive into the past. I also like to thank them for only keeping us unemployed for a week.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
Like literally, we didn't have to, I was thinking okay, do I have to go get a job doing something just so I have a job or whatever? And then all of a sudden, I don't have to really worry about that anymore.
When we come back, you're all right. Everyone's right. And it's great because we didn't know who Armstrong or Jack McKenzie or many others. And it's great to get
that's still to be determined, Armstrong over there.
I mean, we were sitting here today told to come in and we're going to take pictures for the website. And we had to wait 2.5 hours because they kept on fixing their hair and getting the powder on the forehead. Armstrong, did you get, I mean, look at you all dressed up today.
Yeah.
Show everybody.
Pretty much the same thing.
I mean,
he wears.
I've been wearing this, for this week. Yeah. Ever since I'm full-time, I felt like, I need to dress up a little more.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now,
looking good, man.
Coming up next, Tyler McComasu, who covers Oklahoma, does a talk show in the Oklahoma area. He sent me a video of new Baylor offensive line coach Eric Mateos, who was announced today officially. Colt Barber had that story yesterday. But he sent me the video of when he was at Brigham Young saying happy birthday to somebody. Just randomly was out, hey, will you say happy birthday to, John? Did you get that, Armstrong? Did I send that to you? I'm not going to do it now because we have a break coming up, right, Paul?
And we have a break, and then we have the top 5 after the break.
Yeah,
and absolutely. I wanted to mention, too, quickly that Eric Mateos is now taking to Twitter to talk about his hire. And he quote tweeted the Baylor announcement, said, "I'm extremely grateful and humbled for this opportunity. Let's get to work. God bless Texas. #Sic'em."
There you go. All right, so it's been a week. It started out with Jeff Grimes. Then it was, of course, the Sean Bell move, the quarterback coach. Chancey Stuckey, wide receivers coach. They had the Pugh. He was hired, and then next day not. And they came back with Eric Mateos, who was very much accustomed to what Jeff Grimes. They've been together before. When we come back, Eric Mateos saying happy birthday to somebody up and down the Brigham Young Fieldhouse or football offices, and Paul's top 5 to close out the week. What a day we started out with. Grant Miller, his live commitment on this show at 3 o'clock earlier today from Vanderbilt to Baylor. The offensive lineman is SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
When it comes to hauling the family and hauling cargo, see Alan Samuels. Get the king of minivans, the award-winning Chrysler Pacifica, or America's lowest price third-row crossover, Dodge Journey. During the Big Finish event, get 0%, no payments for 90 days, and employee pricing for all on Pacifica. It's minivan first class. And get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Dodge Journeys. Happy holidays from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122. For your company's mass COVID testing, log on to impacthealthlabs.com.
All right, one quick note. Basketball last night. Do you know Illinois was down 15 to Northwestern at halftime? They outscored Northwestern 53-13 in the second half. I think at one point Armstrong was like 50-8 or whatever, and won by 25.
Absolutely insane.
That's Brad Underwood. That's a team that Baylor beat, remember, back in the start of the year.
That's Northwestern going and going, hey, guys, good job.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going. And then Illinois going, oh, hey, are we here now? Oh, yeah, let's go.
Brad Underwood peeled the paint off the locker room. Now, Eric Mateos and then Paul's top five. Eric Mateos, new offensive line coach at Brigham Young. This is an interesting story. I just got off the phone with Tyler McComas. He does a talk show in the Norman area, covers Oklahoma. He has a friend that's a Brigham Young fan. So he went on Twitter, tried to get a hold of somebody that's a Brigham Young, anyone that had an open DM to say, hey, would you send my buddy a happy birthday clip? He's okay. It's not like he's sick or anything. So he's thinking somebody might, if he gets a hold, so he DM'd 2 or 3 people, no one responded. He DM'd Eric Mateos, who then sends him a text video
and says, hey, this is for your friend. Out of nowhere, this is the kind of guy that Baylor's getting as an offensive line coach. Yes, you have to develop. Yes, you have to recruit. Yes, you have to make the offensive line so much better. But this is who Eric Mateos, who could have just said in 3 seconds, happy birthday, Eric Mateos, Brigham Young. Watch what he does here.
What's up, Chris? This is Eric Mateos, coach the O-line over at B.
Whoop. Okay, you're going to move it up a little bit so we can see him. Okay. So this is Eric Mateos, just randomly. Here we go.
What's up, Chris? This is Eric Mateos, coach the O-line over at BYU. Just got our day started. Your buddy told me it was your birthday and that you were also one of the biggest BYU fans. I'm walking through. These are our offices. Here you got Fesi Sataki. Here we go, wide receiver coach.
Chris, what's up, man? Happy birthday. Hope all is well.
And we're getting, we got a bye week this week. So we're kind of doing some self-scout and some recruiting stuff. So taking an opportunity to exhale. I hope you have a great birthday today. There's Jeffrey Grimes,
Chris,
offensive coordinator.
Man, happy birthday, buddy. Go Cougs.
We're all aware it's your birthday. Just want to let you know that we appreciate you as a fan. We love all of our fans all over the country. I'm a Midwest boy. I'm from Kansas, so I got to give love to my Midwest guys. Have a great birthday today. Enjoy it. Nothing better than having your birthday on a hump day. See ya. Happy birthday again. Go Cougs.
How about that? That could have been a 5-second. It could have been nothing. Could have been not even responding to Tyler's request, and he ended up going up and down the football offices.
That's pretty cool.
Very, very cool.
Very cool.
All right, Paul's been doing this every day, and it's a homework assignment for him, and it's always of interest. His top 5s, Paul.
All right, today, top 5 Smoky-approved movies that Armstrong needs to see.
I sense a theme already.
Yeah, here's the deal. We were having a discussion the other day.
Did you know this was coming, Armstrong?
I had a hint that this was coming.
And so, but there were a couple movies, and I thought, look, I need to, part of my job has always been, when you work with someone like Smokey, who, Craig, as his son, can be difficult to get to know.
Yeah.
So I need to bridge the gap because I speak fluent Smokey. So I want Armstrong to be able to understand Smokey how and Craig and I both understand him because, Craig is his son and I've been working with him for a long time. So I thought we need to have, on Fridays, we'll have some fun with this and we'll do kind of a non-sports topic. And I guarantee you this will probably get more than any of the sports ones we ever do as far as buzz. But these are the 5 Smokey approved movies that Armstrong needs to see.
First of all, that he hasn't watched these is amazing.
He's not seen these.
I've not seen any of these.
Yeah, we want Armstrong to grow up, and this can be for Jack as well. They're both young. So number 1 would be Training Day.
Yeah.
That
as intense as it gets.
I don't even I'm not somebody who's watched every movie under the sun, but you have to, that's one where I go no, you have to absolutely watch that movie.
Denzel Washington is great. Everybody who's in the movie is great in it. Mm-hmm. Denzel is great as a villain, and he doesn't do that often. Usually he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Most of the time he's.
What about the one when he was the gangster? That's
that's on the list.
Right.
So
that was also after Training Day.
Yeah, but after so he didn't play a villain very often. Ethan Hawke is great in this movie. You need to see it. This one is he's the good guy in this movie, but he was a bad guy in his previous, or he did some bad things, but he does a good thing. Man on Fire, which if you Rotten Tomatoes this movie, it has a very mediocre, if not bad rating, which makes me not believe in that at all, because Man on Fire from beginning to end is an awesome movie.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's good action.
It is.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll watch it. And I'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
both of them are incredibly intense. That's just the first 2.
Yeah, that's just the first 2. All right, bring up the list again. Number 3, this one here. You want to talk about intense? All takes place on a submarine. You've got a great cast.
It's a young Denzel, isn't it?
Young Denzel.
I'm claustrophobic, though.
Gene Hackman. Viggo Mortensen is in this movie.
Yeah. Who the hell is that?
He was in Lord of the Rings. He's in a lot of things.
James Gandolfini's
in the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a great cast, and it is it's a movie about a nuclear submarine that has gotten the order to at least start the nuclear weapons preparations, and then it just goes on. And there's
Gene Hackman's great in this.
I'll tell you, not only have I not seen these first 3, I haven't even heard of any of these movies.
Oh my gosh, Armstrong, you're so young.
How did you get accepted into Baylor if you didn't know these 3?
How many Denzel movies have you seen?
I think I've seen 2.
Oh,
have you seen Remember the Titans?
I've seen Remember the Titans.
All right, well, that's and he's part of that, of course.
Yeah, he's Coach Boone.
Yeah, he's a great.
And then I saw that one he did recently, Fences.
Oh, that's deep. That was a little bit tough for me.
I almost cussed because he just said that he has not seen like Training Day or like Man on Fire, but he's seen Fences. Denzel Washington.
Well, Fences came out recently. That's why.
Yeah, okay. All right. So number 4, and this is the last Denzel movie on the list, American Gangster.
All Denzel.
Yeah,
which is misspelled, Jack. I'm sorry, it says Gangster on it, but
it's all right. It's all right.
But American
Do not
Gangster.
let his professors know that.
Yeah, American Gangster. He's a bad dude in this movie too, but he has a piece of advice in this movie that everyone needs to know.
Okay.
Especially like with the world we live in now. He tells his brother, the strongest one in the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room.
Yep.
The loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. And I think about that all the time in today's day and age where we've got people
Smokey's the weakest one in the room.
Hey, Jack Wheeler, as Armstrong's former roommate, I'm amazed he hasn't seen any of these films.
He failed me as a roommate, I guess.
Yeah.
No, every one of those movies has intensity that will make you shift around while you're watching it in a theater.
And that's
home.
what Smokey, like you need to get Smokey. Smokey's an intense guy, so you've got to get this. So in the last one, not a Denzel movie, but another submarine movie, and a Jack Ryan movie nonetheless. Mm-hmm. And the best Jack Ryan was Alec Baldwin. I don't care what anybody says. Jack Ryan in this movie is best.
Better than the one that's the guy that lives in like Rhode Island on the coast. Is that Jack Ryan?
Huh?
Well, I mean, here's who's played Jack Ryan. It's been him,
Harrison Ford. Yeah, that's a Harrison
Yeah.
Ford movie.
Yeah,
The beautiful house.
I mean, his 2 movies are good.
Okay.
His 2 movies are good, but Hunt for October
another
really nails it. And Sean Connery's in it, playing a Russian submarine captain who still talks like Sean Connery.
Yeah, he does.
Very much not a Russian, yes.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a big movie. I don't remember a lot of the names, but I can remember those. Have you seen Saving Private Ryan?
Oh, yes, I have.
Okay.
Well, I love Spielberg, so I've seen all of Spielberg.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, I don't even know who. I wouldn't have known that.
I think all 5 of those movies are good, but the first 2 what was the first 2 again? Training Day and Man on Fire. Definitely, I would probably take the first 2 as my favorites, but you got to see Training Day. Training Day for sure. I mean, I'd start with that one. For sure.
No,
I'll put that on the list.
It was almost.
You could watch those over a
similar.
weekend and like sweat watching those.
It was the same. Here's the thing. It was the same. Training Day is the same as my first day on the radio with Smokey. He also made me do PCP.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like how you get your foot in the door.
Oh
PCP.
my God! And that's something. If you want to text us at 254-339-1122, we've been loaded up with guests. If you have like one movie. Have you seen this movie? Craig, Paul, David, Jack, Armstrong, Drake, JD, whoever, Brian, Colt, Ashley. Have you seen this one movie? And we'll have if we have or not, because I haven't watched a lot of movies. I have not been. When was the last time you were at a movie theater? What's going on?
Literally right before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's right. But we used to always go at Cowboys training camp or a Super Bowl. We'd go watch a movie.
I saw Birds of Prey. That's what I saw.
All right.
I went over Christmas break.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go. We're up.
Yeah. By the way, if you want me to do a top 5 list,
yes,
just give me an idea. I'll do a top 5 list.
At Paul Catalina on Twitter.
Yeah, or text us. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Get creative. Have fun with it.
Man,
and we'll do
what
that.
a day today. Started out with Grant Miller's commitment live right here on this show. A lot of you reacted to that. That's part of what we continue to do here. So thanks to Grant Miller, Baylor commit, Jake Hatch on BYU, and Eric Mateos and Jeff Grimes, Grayson Grundhafer, CJ Moore, Max Olson. Thanks as well to Rob Douster. He was great. Thanks to Scott Drew. Jack, thank you. Thanks to Eric Mateos in a kind of a roundabout way with Tyler McComas. Thank him as well. For Craig Smoak, for Armstrong and Jack, I'm David Smoak. Thank you for listening whenever you do and watching whenever you do. What a week it's been. And you know what? We start back up again 11-2 up-tempo Monday. And tomorrow, coverage of Baylor, TCU, and Fort Worth as well. I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend and good night.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sic'Em365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.